your host of the Craig Way Show. Here he is now, Craig Way.
Into the throes of a brand new week, we thrust ourselves. And we're glad to have you here for the thrusting. Well, that's one way to describe it. We're just glad to have you alongside. Welcome to the program here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. My name is Craig Way. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you for joining us here on this Monday afternoon. I know for some folks, today might be a company holiday for President's Day. For others, it's not. Whether you're on holiday or out and about or working or whatever, we're certainly glad to have you on board. We're also includes the producer, Cameron D. Parker. The D stands for Dallas on his birth certificate. You know that there was a vice president of the United States, George M. Dallas, once. And there are those who think that maybe Dallas, Texas was named for him, but there wasn't enough empirical evidence there. But there is a Dallas, North Carolina, not far from where you grew up in Charlotte.
That is true.
Just a little bit to the west. And that one was named for George M. Dallas, who was. You were not, however. Yours was specifically dedicated to the Dallas Cowboys, whom you have now disavowed and refused to root for in 2024. A fact I will wait to see verified when we get to that.
That's true. I have disavowed the Cowboys from just watching them in 2024 until Mike McCarthy's gone. Now, the D does not stand for defense because there is none whatsoever played in the NBA All-Star game last night.
Is there ever, but even less than ever. I flipped over and watched between 5 and 10 minutes of it.
More than me.
And that's all I needed to see of it. But I've read all the accounts and stuff, and we'll save some of the other funny factoids for inconceivable, because it is quite inconceivable that you should have 97 points combined scored in one game, and one team should top 200 points. It's ridiculous. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in inconceivable. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll hear from Longhorns head basketball coach Rodney Terry. Now, this was coming off the loss to third-ranked Houston on Saturday afternoon, where, quite frankly, the Houston Cougars looked like not only a legitimate Final Four team, they looked like a team that could take out UConn perhaps in a national championship game. They looked really, really good. They kind of reminded me in this game. Now, of course, the game in Austin, Texas could have, if not should have, won the game and went overtime, and Houston won that one 76-72. But in the game on Saturday, that Houston team reminded me of another team I saw in Houston, and that was in 2008, and that was the Memphis Tigers when they had Derrick Rose, and they just physically just kind of beat up the Longhorn guards. I mean, DJ Augustine had no real shot against Derrick Rose on that particular Sunday afternoon in that Elite Eight game, and they were just too strong, too tough defensively, and could make outside shots and were rim runners and all that. And Houston looked every bit of that last Saturday. So now the Longhorns have to turn it around, flip the script pretty quickly, because they got a game tonight against the Kansas State Wildcats, which we'll have for you on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone, beginning at 7:30, the tip-off at 8 o'clock. And I would say that the Longhorns are not in a dire situation with regard to the NCAA tournament thing yet. But they're sliding back a little bit. And in order to prevent being right astride the bubble or on the bubble, they need to win the home games, the quote-unquote winnable games, because the 3 remaining road games are really difficult. As we know, they got to go to Lawrence, Kansas this Saturday. Then they got to go to Lubbock 3 days later. And then they have their final road game the Monday after that, a big Monday in Waco against Baylor. So you've got 3 home games remaining: Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and OU. All 3 are winnable games. the Longhorns that need to handle their business in those games. So as it stands right now, they need to take care of business tonight against Kansas State. In the 4:00 hour, we'll visit with Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, and talk about they're in dire straits right now. K-State is in need of some signature wins. They've got one, I guess you could say two. They have one over Baylor, and they have one over Kansas. Both were at home. But they could do with a road win, too. It would help them. So we'll visit with Wyatt to talk about that coming up in the 4:00 hour. Texas women have played really well and have looked good and now have won 6 in a row. They're 24-3. They were number 5 going in today. We'll find out the rankings when they get updated here where they are. And now they are 1 game back of the Oklahoma Sooners. They got the help they wanted and needed on Saturday from West Virginia. West Virginia beat Oklahoma in Morgantown 70-66. So the Longhorns are 1 game back of OU. Texas is 11-3 in conference play with 4 games remaining. Oklahoma is 12-2. Texas plays Texas Tech on Wednesday night. Quite frankly, a game they should win. Then they go to Orlando to play Central Florida on Saturday. Quite frankly, a game they should win. Then they have the rematch with Oklahoma in Norman. Remember, Oklahoma beat Texas 91-87 in Austin last month. They're going to need to win that game and then win their regular season finale on senior night against BYU. If they run the table then and win those 4 games, Texas would have at the very least a share of the Big 12 Conference regular season title, back-to-back conference titles, and they would accrue the number 1 seed for the conference tournament. So it's within their control, or put it this way, they control their own destiny. Now, winning in Norman is going to be very difficult, where Oklahoma has not lost a conference game this year, but at least the math is there for them if they handle their business. And then there's Texas baseball and softball. Softball looked great on Friday. They beat Tennessee, who was number 2 in one poll, and Texas was number 2 in the other poll. And then Texas was 3 in one poll, and Tennessee was 3 in the other poll. And Texas took care of that by handling Tennessee. And then they went and just and beat up on 9th-ranked Stanford Friday night. It was great. Off to a 7-0 start. Those were the only games they could play the entire weekend. Rain came into Clearwater, Florida, and so they were washed out. Other 2 games Saturday, and the 1 game they would have played Sunday. So no games after that, but they get their home opener tomorrow afternoon at 5:00 against Houston Christian, and an opportunity for Texas softball to continue to build on a 7-0 start. And then there's Longhorn baseball. Began the season on Friday night against a San Diego team. It's going to be a good mid-major team from a good mid-major conference, the West Coast Conference. Longhorns had to bounce back. They were down going to the bottom of the 6th inning by a score of 3-1 and put a 5-spot on the board, highlighted, of course, by Jalen Flores' grand slam, and went on to a 7-3 win. Saturday afternoon, they jumped to the early 3-1 lead. Could not hold it. San Diego came back. San Diego took a lead in the 10th. Longhorns tied it in the 10th, but lost in the 11th, and sending the 7,230 fans home shivering, including Cameron Parker, who was working with Nathan Thornhill. That had to be. I was sitting there. I'm listening to you guys, and I'm driving back from Houston. And, of course, I just finished calling the Longhorn team just getting dominated by Houston and lost by 21, and it could have been a lot worse than that. And I'm listening to you guys shivering there in the cold calling that, and I'm thinking, I had the better deal. Because at least I wasn't sitting out in the elements. You guys, because it wasn't exactly balmy yesterday when I called the last game, when Nate and I were calling the game yesterday, but it paled by comparison to what you guys had to deal with.
It was definitely cold. Now, in our broadcast booth, there's 2 windows or sliding doors that can open up.
Yeah, they swing out, swing in swingers, you might say, to use soccer parlance.
Nathan had his closed.
Good.
I pulled in, and he was like, "You want me to close yours?" And I was like, "You know what? I want to be able to hear the elements, be able to see the ball better." I kept it open the entire game. Now, that may have been a mistake because I was freezing cold, but we gutted it through it. But Nathan went down there for the post-game interview with David Pierce, and he came back up afterwards, and he was like, I was trying so hard not to shiver because it was that cold on the field. And those guys played through it, and the fans gutted through it for, I think it was from 2:30 to, I think 7:15 is right around the time we finished our post-game show.
Yeah.
So almost 5 hours of baseball on Saturday in a real tough way for Longhorns to lose, but they did win the series.
Come back yesterday, played well. Peyton Powell's off to a really good start. So is Jared Thomas. Both of those guys swinging the bat. Cody Howard gave them some quality innings out of the pen. I don't think they saw enough from Tanner Witt to be able to do it. You know, they're being very cautious with Tanner as he continues to build, but he's still trying to get his velo back up as well. He looked really good in the first inning, retired him in order on 10 pitches. Second inning, he walked back-to-back guys and then dropped a bunt for an error that loaded the bases, went 2-0 to the next batter, and that was it. He threw 13 pitches at that point, came out. Howard came in, inherited the 2-0 count with the bases loaded, nobody out, ended up walking in 1 run and then walked in a second run, but then he got out of it and then settled in after that and wound up getting the win. Max Grubbs looked pretty good all the way until he got hit with a line shot there late and went off the hand, but you'll hear Coach Pierce talk about, we'll hear from him, the post-game conversation. He didn't think that he was seriously injured, and that's good news. Hopefully that'll continue to be the case. And the Longhorns were very opportunistic, took advantage of free passes, timely hitting, Flores with a key hit. Good to see Gumbo swing the bat well, Jaden Duplantier, as he had an infield single to drive in a run. So the end result is they're 2-1. They will host Houston Christian tomorrow evening at 6:30. Ty Harrington will join me for the call of that one. We'll be on the air at 6:15. It's the 6:30 first pitch as Texas will play Houston Christian tomorrow. And then they have Cal Poly coming in this weekend for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday games. So they'll play Cal Poly of the Big West, another good mid-major collegiate baseball league. The Big West Conference. That's the one with Cal State Fullerton and UC Irvine and UC Santa Barbara, Long Beach. It's a good mid-major collegiate baseball conference. So they'll play Cal Poly this weekend, and then they'll conclude the 8-game homestand with a game against St. John's a week from tomorrow before they head to Minute Maid Park. And you talk about tests coming up. LSU with a Friday night game, then Texas State Saturday, and then Vanderbilt on Sunday. So everything is off and rolling. We're fully into the overlap, what I refer to as overlap Roman numeral 2, because the first one is November, mid-November, when basketball joins up with football as football heads down the home stretch of the regular season, and basketball is just cranking up on the men's and women's side. Now you have men's and women's basketball heading down the home stretch of the regular season with baseball and softball in full throttle and having their seasons underway. Up next, and also, we, as always, invite your questions, your thoughts, your comments on our text line. Simply text the word Texas, followed by your question or comment to 81530. So, again, the word Texas, followed by your question or comment to 81530. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. Up next, we'll hear from Rodney Terry when we continue on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone, and where you always listen to us for free on the iHeartRadio app.
Text Texas, followed by your message to 81530 to chat along with your favorite sports radio AM 1300 The Zone hosts. That's Texas, followed by your message to 81530. Standard data and message rates may apply.
Your garage door won't go up or down, so give us a call. We're all over town. Promise to you is honest and fair. The real Cedar Park overhead doors. The garage door on your house needs repairs. Call Cedar Park Doors and we'll be there. We'll get there fast and we'll treat you fair. Call Cedar Park Overhead Doors.
If a garage door spring goes sprung or your opener won't open, the only place you need to call is the real Cedar Park Overhead Doors. Why us? When you need a repair done honestly, fairly, and you want it done right, the real Cedar Park Overhead Doors will always answer the call. We've been helping openers open and springs stay sprung across Central Texas for more than 30 years. Our phones get answered 24/7. Let our family serve yours. Customer first reviews, because we fix it right the first time, every time. 24 hours a day and online at cedarparkgaragedoors.com.
Work really hard while the other guy snores. Happy customers, we have more. We'll get it right and we'll get the job done. For Cedar Park Overhead Doors. 335-7441.
South by Southwest Music Festival returns to Austin March 11th through 16th with a new lineup of legendary and rising talent. Join us for South by Southwest 2024 and get ready to discover your next favorite artist. Register today at sxsw.com.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Basketball Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade explores the lives and motivations of sports, music, and entertainment icons in his podcast, The Why with Dwayne Wade. In each episode, he delves into the inspiration behind their greatness, reflects on his own career, and goes behind the curtain to get the stories you've never heard.
How did you feel about me in 2006?
Well, there wasn't a lot of love there, I'd say.
We've never had a conversation to this point.
Listen to The Why with Dwayne Wade on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
After years of discomfort, it's like I'm alive again.
Sonia Hackett talks about how QC Kinetics changed her life.
QC Kinetics has given me my quality of life back.
Before QC Kinetics, Sonia suffered from horrible knee and back pain stemming from a car accident.
I was wearing knee braces just to try to maneuver around.
Sonia hated the idea of pain meds, and surgery seemed too risky. So she turned to the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics, the leaders in advanced regenerative medicine.
That consultation just changed my life. I can do the treadmill, everything. I don't have anything holding me back. The quality of life is pain-free. QC Kinetics has made us very happy.
Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today.
I'm going to get emotional again. They are like family members to me. They care.
Call QC Kinetics now.
Call QC Kinetics. 512-593-4303. That's 512-593-4303. 512-593-4303.
Febreze.
Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week. Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, you know I'm needing a refresh. Oh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
An accident with a company car, truck, SUV, van, or fleet vehicle is not just another car accident. Thomas J. Henry handles serious company vehicle accident cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Visit tjhlaw.com/radio. San Antonio, Texas.
Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. No sharks or competitive leagues. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Last week, I won over $200 picking basketball, and this week I feel even better about my picks. This week on Prize Picks, I'm taking the Joker for more than 10 rebounds and Luka Doncic for more than 32 points. Both guys have been on a tear recently. I'll tell you, it's like stealing money. Download the app today and use the code Parker for your first deposit match of up to $100. That's code Parker on Prize Picks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less, It's that easy.
Hey, have you heard the latest news from my friends at Sue Patrick? Their #1 selling men's polo shirt from the 40 Acres is back. From game day to the golf course, we're talking about the perfect polo. It's available in sizes small through XXX with UPF 50+ sun protection and 4-way stretch quick drying fabric. It's available 2 ways: white with all over burnt orange Longhorns for away games. I've already worn that one. And burnt orange with all over white Longhorns when you're cheering them on at a home game. An embroidered Longhorn on the left chest completes the most perfect polo. It's a great shirt. I love broadcasting in it, and you'll enjoy wearing it as well. Be sure to check it out. Of course, you can go right down to the store at 5222 Burnett Road. Pull right up to the store. Don't even have to worry about a parking garage. Or you can even order it online as well at SuePatrick.com. Check it out. The #1 selling Longhorn men's polo from the 40 Acres is back. Sue Patrick, 5222 Burnett Road, and online at SuePatrick.com.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 original stations waiting for you to explore right now, like 24/7 comedy.
Men don't settle there. We surrender.
Women, we never express the emotions we're actually feeling, right? I'm fine means I'm about to stab you in the neck.
Clips from today's top comedians and the greatest of all time.
Donut hole. If you want a donut, have a donut. Why are you eating the hole?
When you need a laugh, just open the free iHeartRadio app and search comedy.
You can actually change the station.
iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
It's the Hard Knocks Life Show. Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. It's the Craig Way Show with the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Craig Way.
It's a Monday afternoon here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Craig Way, the producer Cam Parker alongside. Okay, well, this being the Jackson 5, this is going to be 1970.
That's correct.
I guess.
Yeah.
I Want You Back. And is this a #1?
#1 on this day, number 2 on this day in 1970.
Okay. All right. Yeah, back when it was the Jackson 5. My sister went and saw the Jackson 5.
Oh, man.
In the Greensboro Coliseum. Yeah, she's 4 years older than me. She went to see them. She also saw the Monkees play there. She saw a lot of older classic rock acts. You know, the funny thing is, here's a little known fact. You know, the rock bands, of course, have opening acts in front of them. And maybe the greatest opening act I ever saw was a couple of weeks ago when Steely Dan opened for the Eagles. You know who opened for the Monkees? You think of the Monkees being TV-created pop band, right? Although they were talented musicians. Mickey Dolenz, very talented musician. The late Michael Nesmith, very talented musician. I went and saw him a few years ago at the Kessler Theater in Oak Cliff. But they were a TV-created pop band. And they were on tour, and, you know, teenage girls loved them and all this other kind of stuff, and it was following on the heels of the Beatles, obviously. Do you know who opened for the Monkees? Because I saw it later, and then I did some research, found out, and told my sister, and she'd forgotten all about this.
What year is this?
This would have been 1967. 67.
Man.
You'll never guess it, so I'm going to have to tell you.
Just tell me.
Jimi Hendrix.
Really? That's incredible.
Think about Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees. That was something.
That's like Stevie Ray opening. What was that concert up in Dallas that you went to?
Well, he was just playing in a little club. And now what you're referring to, yes, the Fabulous Thunderbirds opened, and then the second act of the Cotton Bowl was ZZ Top, and the third act was the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And my brothers, who later became huge fans of Stevie Ray and really, but I always remember them coming out of that show highly critical of the Fabulous. They weren't any good, blah, 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 blah. And I have never, ever, ever let them forget him. Said, oh, you guys said they weren't any good. You wind up like, well, they weren't good that day. Yeah, okay, whatever. Stevie Ray Vaughan never had a bad day playing the guitar.
I don't think so.
He's great. No, I saw Stevie Ray in a little bitty club on Oak Lawn Avenue in Dallas in January of 82. And the reason why I know it was January 82 was the same day as that epic playoff game between the Chargers and the Dolphins. Those who remember the game will know what I'm talking about. Kellen Winslow had the monster game, incredible overtime game. That was a Saturday afternoon game. And that Saturday night, my best friend Alex and I went along. He had a date that did not work out well for him. I was dating Linda at the time. And she went with, she remembers almost nothing of that except being kind of bored. Because here this guy comes out in this hat. He sits down, he's got long hair, and he just sits down in a chair and starts playing.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. And Alex and I were grooving, and she didn't think too much of him into that. Now, later, she became a Stevie Ray Vaughan fan. She really did. But that's where I saw Stevie Ray. That was in a little club in Dallas in 1982. All right. The good news here, and makes sense as well. Madison Booker, the Texas women's basketball team, she continued to win Big 12 Freshman of the Week honors off and on during the season. And I wondered why she didn't win Player of the Week more often. There were even some weeks where she was named the Freshman of the Week, and then but not Player of the Week, and then she would win National Player of the Week. I'm like, okay, so she's good enough to win National Player of the Week, but not good enough to win Big 12 Player of the Week? That makes no sense. Well, this week, there's no doubt, not only was she the Freshman of the Week, she was the Big 12 Player of the Week. She won both awards. So she has double figures now, scoring in 16 straight games, and has scored 20 or more in 8 games this season. She averaged 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists last week. In Big 12 play, she's averaging over 20 points, 5.5 boards, 5 assists, shooting 49% from the floor, 92% from the line. And against ranked opponents, Booker is scoring 21 points, 6 boards, and 5 assists for the day. It's the 4th Freshman of the Week honor for her, but only her 2nd Player of the Week honor. She's also earned National Freshman of the Week 2 times and National Player of the Week 1 other time this season. She's amazing. If you haven't had a chance to see her yet, you should go. The women have 2 home games remaining. One is Wednesday night against Texas Tech, and that was kind of a little bit of a breakout game for her, the game in Lubbock. That's all the way back on January 3rd. I was coming off the Longhorns loss in the Sugar Bowl of Washington when I raced to the airport and caught the storm-delayed commercial flight that night to Lubbock. And then the next day, the Texas women who were coming off a conference opening loss to Baylor, when they were still kind of looked like they had a little bit of sticker shock going on, having lost Rory Harmon, Madison Booker started to put the team on her shoulders that night in Lubbock and took over in the second half, and Texas pulled away, and she's been roaring ever since. She's done a great job. And so, and it was also good to see Shaylee Gonzalez get her shooting form back on track as well. So they have 4 games left. Texas will play Wednesday night at home against Texas Tech, Saturday in Orlando. Cameron will call that game for you. Saturday after, I'll be at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence for the Texas men against KU. Roger Wallace will have Longhorn baseball broadcast duties at UFC Disch-Falk Field with Ty Harrington this weekend as Texas hosts Cal Poly. And Cam will be down in Orlando for the Texas women's game at UCF. Then they have 2 games after that. The big showdown game the following Wednesday, the 28th, in Norman against Oklahoma, could be for the conference championship. And then they conclude the regular season on senior night back at Moody Center on Saturday, Saturday the 2nd of March against BYU. By the way, Booker shared the Player of the Week award. She did win Big 12 Player of the Week, but she shared it with Lauren Gustin of BYU, the forward Lauren Gustin of BYU. So that's what's going on with the Texas women. Longhorn men come off that loss to Houston where they were summarily dominated by the Cougs. It was a 22-20 game with 9:15 to go in the first half. So it was a game for the first 10 minutes plus. And then the Longhorns went, I think, 5.5 minutes without scoring. And Houston just took over the game at that point. Controlled the glass, second chance points, points in the paint, all of those things that Rodney Terry had been talking about. And to be quite honest, they guarded Texas to the point where the Longhorn guards just could never really get in a flow or rhythm. And that includes Max Asmus, that includes Tyrese Hunter, that includes all the Longhorn guards. Kendall Weaver was one of only 2 Longhorns in double figures. The other was Dylan DeSue. But they had a hard time the way Houston guarded them. And that was part of the conversation we had with the head coach, Rodney Terry, following the Texas defeat. We've talked about this concept before. When you play a really, really good basketball team, you have to play really, really well. And if they're on and if just one or two things isn't going, it can kind of turn out to be a game, kind of like how it turned out to be today.
Well, we knew for 2 or 3 days coming into this ball game. I mean, we played these guys before already. Again, their ammunition is, they're going to come out and they're going to try to just hit you in the mouth, and you got to respond and you got to be physical and you got to match that physicality, and stuff. And if they see you that you don't want any of that, then it's going to be a long night. It's going to make it really difficult to play in that game.
How difficult is it? I know the message to the guys at halftime was to get more physical on the boards, and you knew it going in, and I'm sure it had been preached to the guys about how important rebounding is in a game like this, but it was tough. They seemed to be in position to make rebounds, and then they had some hustle plays, and they had some bounce to them as well.
What they did, again, that's the backbone of the program. Is what they do, is who they are. You have to take their second chance points away. You have to take their 50-50 balls away. If you can do that, they become an average team. But if you let those guys excel at a high level with second chance points, they're going to get threes, and that's what they do. They convert those. If they get a 50-50 ball, they convert those. The biggest thing you have to do to beat these guys is you can't give second chance opportunities. And, I got 17 offensive rebounds and had 10 at the half, and really was the difference in the game.
This is one of those glass half full, half empty numbers, but there was one point late in the second half where you had 10 turnovers. There were no unforced errors, but they had 10 steals. I mean, so it's kind of tough to balance the margins on something like that, isn't it?
Well, they challenge you to be strong with the ball and make decisive plays, and again, we haven't played these guys one time before. We knew exactly what was coming in terms of how we need to handle it, and then you got to adapt and adjust the way the game's been officiated. They're going to let them play that way, then you got to adapt and adjust and play physical as well and stuff. And at times we didn't meet that physicality challenge.
Not a long turnaround. You got a team coming in here Monday that you're tied with, and it's a huge game for its separation going into the tournament.
Yeah, every game's a big game. I mean, obviously we're disappointed with the way the way things went today. We got to come back against a good K-State team here at home, and got to try to out-compete them for 40 minutes on our home court.
All right, appreciate the time, Archie. Thanks.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, gonna have to be ready for the challenge. And I thought it was very poignant what Rodney said there is, if they sense that you're not ready for the fight, it's gonna be a long night. And I think that's the vibe a lot of folks got, at least in terms of the physical nature with which the game was contested. And on that, you tip your hat to Houston. On the text line, somebody said, "Hey, Craig, Cameron did a fine job calling the baseball game. You're going to get pipped." What he means by that is Wally Pipp. If you don't know the legend, Wally Pipp was an outstanding first baseman for the New York Yankees. And one day he told manager Miller Huggins, "Skip, I need a day off. Can you put the kid in because I got a headache?" He said, "Sure." The kid was Lou Gehrig. And Gehrig was in the lineup for the next 2,130 consecutive games. And Wally Pipp ended up leaving and I think going to the Reds after that. Hey, listen, I know he did a good job. I wouldn't have put him in that position. I don't want Joe Doofus behind the mic when I can't be there. I want somebody who's going to call a good game. So I'm glad he did a good job. And he did. And I agree with you. Now, will I get pipped? Maybe time will tell.
I think I'm closer to Joe Dubas than I am Lou Gehrig, but thank you for the text.
So anyway, yes, and Cam will be calling the game a week from tomorrow against St. John's when I'm in Lubbock for the basketball game at Texas Tech. So yes, that's why we have him involved. We want him involved. So that's the deal. Somebody asked about what's the deal with the baseball broadcast on the iHeart app. Listen, there are a few wrinkles that are being worked out because we've had to change some things technically when baseball, along with the other Longhorn sports, came over here. So bear with us through some early bumps and growing pains, but you should be able to link to it from the iHeart app. And if not, certainly you can get it on the Texas Longhorns app, as well as online at texassports.com, and of course over the air at 1300 The Zone. So, appreciate the heads up on that, and we'll keep working it to try to make it better. Coming up next, Inconceivable, here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone and the iHeart Radio app.
Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Longhorns basketball plays here.
Goes up strong, reverse side, what a lay-in! Brock, Hunter, lobbing it in for Dylan Mitchell, who slams it down.
Ace drive left side, kicks to Sue, the finish.
Here goes Hunter, behind the back pass, in the Weaver, Kendall lays it in. Oh, goodness, what a way to close out the first half.
Longhorns basketball plays here. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Twin Peaks is the place to be during lunchtime, with light yet hearty combos put together with you in mind, starting at just $7.99, featuring soups, salads, and a variety of sandwiches. And hey, while you're there, if you love what you see and happen to be looking for a job where you can have a ton of fun and make great money, well, Twin Peaks is hiring. They're looking for Twin Peak girls, cooks, bussers, barbacks, and more. Text WORK4TP to 85000 to apply today. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings. Looking for the perfect place to get a bite to eat before or after the game? Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina has you covered. With locations on 360 in Westlake or Quinlan Park Road in Steiner Ranch, both offer the perfect place to pregame or celebrate after the game. We use only the finest, freshest ingredients. Mouth-watering fajitas, fresh seafood, char-grilled oysters, and queso you'll want to eat by the gallon. Happy hour, dinner with family and friends, private events, Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina is the place. Visit vaqueroscafe.com. Tex-Mex done right.
South by Southwest Music Festival returns to Austin March 11th through 16th with a new lineup of legendary and rising talent. Join us for South by Southwest 2024 and get ready to discover your next favorite artist. Register today at sxsw.com.
It's the Marketer's Report. Today, Capital One's Chief Brand Officer, Mark Mentry, weighs in on building loyalty with customers.
Capital One has really worked to create amazing access moments for our customers. We will do sound check parties that only Capital One cardholders can get access to, and we can't pull that off without iHeart.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, insights, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Hey, Texas sports fans. Shannon Sweeney here, and it's time for basketball. Thomas J. Henry Law is thrilled to be part of the action with Texas basketball game broadcasts. The athletes give it their all on the court, and Thomas J. Henry and over 250 attorneys give it their all when it comes to helping you and your family get the justice you deserve. Whether it's on the court or in the courtroom, dedication, strategy, and teamwork is crucial. For over 30 years, Thomas J. Henry Law has been committed to securing meaningful results for injured people and their families. This year, they are inviting the communities they serve to join them in celebrating 30 years of client success with major community events and giveaways. After all, their law firm would be nothing without the communities and individuals they serve. Visit tjhlaw.com to find out more. If you or a loved one has been injured, their attorneys are available 24/7 to help you. They have the reputation and resources to handle any case, and free consultations with no fees collected unless they win for you. Let's get into the Texas basketball action this season, sponsored by Thomas J. Henry Law. On and off the court, it's all about the win.
License number MAT 951 TACLB 76656E.
A lot of businesses talk about fast service, but then you find out those promises didn't mean much.
Yeah, that's when your definition of fast is very different than the service providers.
When it comes to plumbing emergencies, a promise like same-day service really matters.
Especially when you're standing in 2 inches of water in your living room.
Absolutely. You know, Sarah and I started Radiant Plumbing and Air Conditioning here in Austin in 1999.
Gosh.
So we've seen some bad plumbing emergencies.
Remember the guy who opened his front door and toilet water literally flowed out onto the porch?
Yeah, and you know that wasn't just water either.
Gross, gross, gross.
That was bad.
we're committed to giving you same-day emergency service.
Because when your pipes back up or your water stops running, you can't wait for help.
Radiant Plumbing and Air Conditioning, same-day emergency service.
When quick response matters, call Radiant 263-9988.
There's no extra charge, just extra speedy response. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's do your part again.
What?
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nuggets, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
I'm Ethan Hawke, native Texan, here to talk to you about Texan icons. See, there's one Texas icon that does more for us than any other. A little trash barrel named Daryl. You've seen him on billboards and TV. This trash barrel reminds us to keep our state clean so you don't mess with Texas. Next time you think of Texas icons, remember Daryl the Barrel, who's always reminding you, don't mess with Texas means don't litter. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Everybody has a favorite pair of shoes or boots that could use a little TLC. This is Carol Kelly with Austin Shoe Hospital. Austin families have been using Austin Shoe Hospital for all their shoe, boot, purse, and luggage repairs for over 30 years. Austin Shoe Hospital's expert team of shoe and boot cobblers are the best in Texas. So round up all your favorite shoes, boots, and bags and have our master cobblers bring them back to life. Come into Austin Shoe Hospital or go to austinshoehospital.com for info. Let Austin Shoe Hospital heal your souls.
Fire up your DVR. It's time for your TV tip-off.
Monday night, the 26th, The Voice is back for cycle number 26 at 8/7 Central on NBC. Wednesday night, the 28th, a new set of castaways gets stranded in the 2-hour premiere of Survivor's 46th cycle at 8/7 Central on CBS. On Thursday, the 29th, Carrie Preston and Wendell Pierce star in the new legal and police drama Elsbeth, a belated spin-off from The Good Wife, kicking off at 10/9 Central on CBS. Friday the 1st, the crime drama BMF returns for its 3rd season at 8/7 Central on Starz. Sunday night the 3rd, Kate Winslet, Hugh Grant, and Martha Plimpton are among the stars in the British political satire The Regime, which crosses the pond at 9/8 Central on HBO. I'm Lex Hohen, and that's your TV tip-off on iHeartRadio.
It's the Harge Knocks Life Show with Mike Harge and Salty. Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Inconceivable! 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 Inconceivable!
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Well, here we go with Inconceivable on a Monday. And I guess I have to start off with something that my wife sent to me. She finds these unusual stories. And this is listed as being a crime. Okay? But here's the story. The headline: California man found dead in backyard kennel after being attacked by his own pit bulls. The victim was mauled following an altercation between some of his dogs as he was feeding them. So he's feeding the dogs. One gets mad at the other dog. Maybe he thought the other dog was in. And then he goes in to try to break it up. 35-year-old pit bull breeder.
Wow.
And then they turned on him. Said a 911 caller told dispatchers that, quote, her friend was seen in the backyard and appeared to have been mauled by his dog. After arriving on the scene, officials found the man's body in one of the several kennels located in the backyard. Also found in the backyard, 13 pit bulls.
Holy cow.
5 adults, 8 puppies. The Los Angeles County Department of Animal Care and Control now has custody of the dogs with the consent of the victim's father. The pit bulls will be impounded and examined at a nearby animal care shelter. Lieutenant Michael Gomez with the Homicide Bureau said, quote, from my understanding and based on those that have reviewed the video, it's believed that he was feeding the dogs, at which point maybe there was an altercation between some of the dogs and then ultimately the dogs that attacked and mauled the victim. The victim ultimately died from the injuries. I find it interesting that they have the homicide division checking that out. Are you going to charge the dog with homicide?
Yeah. You know, I'll say what everyone's thinking. You know, was he breeding these dogs to fight?
For fighting? Yeah.
Because I think usually they're actually pretty sweet animals, but once you start to breed them in terms of, you know, for dog fighting, then they become very vicious. But also, if you have 13 dogs back there, who knows?
You're right. And I will say this. I agree with what you're saying. I really do, with regard about a lot of dogs. No matter the breed, they can be very sweet depending on how they're trained. Now, let me ask you this question. What breed of dog do we hear more than any other involved with the word mauling?
Yeah. Pit bull and German shepherds.
Yeah. And pit bull, I think, by a wide margin off of that. But it's not to indemnify all pit bulls, just saying that it just seems to be that way. How about a Jerry Jones update for you?
Oh, goody.
Dallas County judge today said that he would soon rule on whether Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner and general manager, will be required to complete a paternity test to prove if he is the father of a 27-year-old woman who sued him 2 years ago. A roughly hour-long hearing took place this morning at the George Allen Courts building in downtown Dallas. Lawyers for Jones and the woman argued over whether the woman has a presumed father. Jones's attorneys also called the proposed genetic testing an invasion of privacy. Dallas Morning News broke the story about this lawsuit back in March of 2022 by Alexandra Davis, who alleged she was conceived when Jones and her mother had a relationship in the mid-90s. According to court documents, Jones and Davis's mother, Cynthia Davis, reached a settlement in which Jones agreed to financially support them so long as they didn't publicly identify Jones as Alexandra Davis' father. The lawsuit sought to have a court declare that Alexandra Davis wasn't bound by that agreement, but she later dropped that lawsuit and instead sought testing to prove that Jones is her father. Judge previously ruled that he was subject to genetic testing in late December 2022. The lawyers promptly appealed that. So find out if hypothetically, fundamentally, might sound a little tried if he's her daddy.
He's been in a lot of legal battles. He's been in this and then that car accident on that one road that's known for, you know, some precarious things.
Harry Hines.
Yeah, Harry Hines.
Yeah, isn't it? Okay, you did not watch the NBA All-Star game last time. Like I said, I watched about 10 minutes of it, and that was about all in because, zero defensive play. They would just come down, stop, pop a three. And then if they weren't a three, somebody would drive to the basket, and 2 guys would just let them drive in and score. So
I saw Luka's shot from the second quarter when it was beyond half court, and I was like, yeah. Imagine paying probably 4 figures for an all-star ticket, and you're seeing that.
That's what you're looking at. The East beat the West 211 to 186. In case you're wondering, it's the first time that a team exceeded the 200-point mark in NBA history. So it broke an array of records. The East point total, highest ever, eclipsing the 196 by the West in 2016. The combined total of 397 surpassed the previous record of 374 back in 2017. The East also made 42 three-pointers. That beat the record of 35. Damian Lillard said everybody was asking what the record was. We found out and went after it. Might as well. What else are you going to do, right? This deal. So it did go
Not going to
back.
play defense, that's for sure.
Right. It also saw the return of the traditional East versus West format, which I like better than
the captain.
Yeah, the captain's team and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, Kevin Durant said, me and Kawhi was in awe of Lillard, him shooting from the half-court line like it's a free throw. Strength, power, muscle memory. Jaylen Brown of the Celtics had 36. Tyrese Halliburton, 32 in his own arena. Lillard led all scorers with 39 points. So, yeah, I think a lot of folks that's kind of like along the lines of not watching the Pro Bowl in football because there's no tackling, when they still played it that way.
Good comparison.
Yeah. Okay. Did you hear about this college baseball player that got hit by pitches over the weekends?
7 total times?
8.
8. Oh, man.
8 times in 9 plate appearances. So 23-year-old Matt Mascangelo was hit by 8 pitches in 9 plate appearances over 3 games over the weekend. So he's playing for Sacramento State, and he had transferred from Cal State Bakersfield before the season got underway, and he was hit 3 times in the first game, 4 more in the game 2 loss. That was 7 in a doubleheader. And according to Sacramento State, the last time a Hornets player was hit by a pitch at least 3 times in a single game was Aaron Zeidman in 2021. According to the MLB official website, the single game record for most times hit by a pitch is 3, 7 batters holding that record. Only 1 player's ever been hit as many as 5 times in a doubleheader. Hall of Famer Frank Chance in a doubleheader for the Cubs against the Reds in 1904. Mascangelo told the MLB website after the Friday game, after the 3rd time in the first game, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. But it got weirder in Sunday when he was hit again. That made it 8 times in 9 appearances at the plate. In just 3 games into the season, the Sacramento State social media account is already letting people know where he stands on the school's single season hit by pitch account. According to their Twitter, their X account, the school record is 19. The NCAA's is 37. I remember Jeff Ontiveros, I think, got hit 20 times in 1 year for Texas. But that's crazy. 7 in 1 day on both ends of a doubleheader. 8 around that otherwise. So there it is. There's your inconceivable for Monday. We'll be back to wrap up hour number 1 on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. Longhorns basketball plays here.
Up top on the right side, Cunningham rifles the pass to the baseline to Tyrese Hunter. Hunter back to Cunningham. Clean look at the 3. Fires it and drains it. Longhorns. Hunter has it. Lobbing it in for Mitchell, and Dillon slams it down. Longhorns have it in transition. Driving to the right side pass into Mitchell. A slam dunk. A no-look feed from Max Haismith.
Longhorns basketball plays here. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
My wife and I both, we ended up mildly sick for a few months, and the nasal congestion was probably the worst part. I had like a post-nasal drip, just super congested all the time. We were taking everything we possibly could, but nothing really worked.
Kyrie was miserable until a friend recommended Navage. Navage offers immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Don't live in misery this cold season. Use Navage so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
The biggest thing Navage has done has completely cleaned out my nasal passages. It was from the first use. I was able to just clear out anything that was stopping me from breathing correctly. Navage helps me clear the way, literally clear the way for me to operate better in the rest of my life.
Experience the Navage difference yourself. Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage.
Basketball Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade explores the lives and motivations of sports, music, and entertainment icons in his podcast, The Why with Dwayne Wade. In each episode, he delves into the inspiration behind their greatness, reflects on his own career, and goes behind the curtain to get the stories you've never heard.
How did you feel about me in 2006?
Well, there wasn't a lot of love there, I'd say.
We've never had a conversation to this point.
Listen to The Why with Dwayne Wade on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose.
Mommy.
That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
eBay Motors is here for the ride with the parts you need for the prices you want. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, I got another word or two for you about my good friend John Hardy and his great staff at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. You know, they've been very, very busy during this cold and getting colder winter weather, but we get ready for the summer season coming up. And if you start now, you can make your house more efficient for the upcoming summer heat. Why not consider solar with Divided Sky Roofing and Solar? You can upgrade your home to solar and make it more efficient, or you can add batteries to make your current system more efficient. Not only that, it's very economical right now. Payments include 0% down with low monthly payment options available. And, of course, a reminder that energy-efficient upgrades are also tax deductible. And doesn't that come in handy as well? So replace the energy shingle to make your home more efficient. Divided Sky Roofing and Solar, 512-995-ROOF, or check them out on the web at dividedskyaustin.com.
Get the Apple Leasing Advantage today. Visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
AM 1300 The Zone is KBET Austin. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports talk, podcasts, and music. Free never sounded so good. The Hard Knocks Life Show. Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Hey, in case you didn't notice, the Daytona 500 is getting ready to start. Yeah, they couldn't go yesterday because of all the rain. They had a lot of rain in Florida over the weekend. So they couldn't run the race. Texas softball couldn't play. Florida baseball, which was like number 3 in the country, played one game over the weekend, lost it, and dropped 3 spots in the poll, in the NCBWA poll. We'll mention those updated rankings coming up. And Also, coming up in the second hour of the program, we'll hear from Texas women's head coach Vic Schaefer. We'll look at the Big 12 men's and women's basketball races as well as college baseball and a lot more. Second hour of this Monday edition of the program coming away right here on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
He's a Texas legend, a Hall of Fame broadcaster, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, and your host of the Craig Way Show. Here he is now, Craig Way.
Second hour of the program here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Craig Way, the producer Cameron Parker alongside. Glad to have you with us. And as we mentioned, certainly you are more than welcome to avail yourself of the text line. And it's a simple process. All you do is text the word Texas, and you text the word Texas, followed by your question or your comment to 81530. So 81530. And that's what you do. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. So we're happy to field your questions, your thoughts, and comments as well on the text line. Somebody said, CB said, I didn't watch, but I saw Karl Anthony Towns had 50 points. According to Google, that's the first time a player scored 50 and didn't win the MVP. Well, in a game where a team scores 211 and the other scores 186, I guess it would probably be something like that. I
enjoyed Draymond Green's quip where he said, look, Cat's dropping 50 and he's losing by 20 points. It's just like the good old Timberwolves days in the past few years when they've always been losing. But hey, now they're the number one team in the Western Conference. But
yeah, that's true. But it was the East that was winning, so and they had the more balance.
Did anyone really win, Craig? I don't think anyone won last night.
There's just losers. Anybody who watched it, right? I don't know. Like I said, I didn't.
Did you watch the dunk contest or the 3-point contest?
Just highlights.
Yeah.
Also, here's how I feel about the dunk contest. I have nothing against Mac McClung. I learned the fact he had a game-winning shot for Texas Tech to beat Texas one year, and that was the year after. That was the year after he had a monster game for Georgetown when they beat Texas up in the Garden. So, yeah, he was a Texas killer in a couple of games. But I have nothing against Mac McClung. But if I'm correct, everything I read, he's not an active NBA player right now.
No, just like
not on
last year. I believe he plays for the South Bay Lakers. If I remember, I
He's
don't
in the
even
G League.
remember what team he's on this year. I think he's on the 76ers G League team. But yeah, I think they had two players in the G League this past year, participate in the G League contest.
Yeah.
He's on the Osceola Magic. Is it Osceola?
Yeah. That's in Florida.
Yeah.
So, okay. So
at least they got Jaylen Brown to participate in it, but he just got flamed on Twitter for his dunk attempts.
Yeah. And again, this is an old school way of looking at it. It's going to be very OG on my part, but I've just always kind of felt that the slam dunk participants and the 3-point participants probably should be regular NBA participants.
Yeah.
Now, I also understand what they were doing with Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu. I got it. I understand that. And it was fun. I saw the highlights of it. And I will also tell you this, too. I don't want to hear any of that garbage from people talking about, well, they use the smaller basketball as one line in. I mean, all the excuses and all that other kind of stuff were built out there. If you can shoot, you can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's silly. Just as it was, I thought Jay Williams had some silly comments on Saturday talking about Caitlin Clark.
I think there was a lot of silly comments from the broadcast crew this weekend. I don't know what was going on in Indianapolis, but there were some weird things said by Jay, Kenny Smith, Reggie Miller. They had a weird back and forth about dolls at one point.
Kenny Smith clearly and this was a guy who was an incredibly smart basketball player and played for one of the greatest coaches of all time, Dean Smith in North Carolina. But I don't think he'd done his homework. I don't think he'd prepared enough to know what he was talking about in that. And for Jay Williams to say that Caitlin Clark, by his definition, not great because she wasn't on a title-winning team. That's completely silly. So does that mean Charles Barkley was not a great player? Never won a title, right? There were a lot of players, great players, who never won a title.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Unseld was a great. Well, I guess he was on the Bullets team that won in '78. But there were other players. People ticked off a whole list of Major League Baseball players like Ernie Banks. Great player. I guess he wasn't great because they didn't win a World Series. He never played in the postseason game. That kind of stuff. And I don't buy that at all. Now, there were arguments I saw on social media. Somebody said, well, he didn't say she wasn't great. He said she wasn't the greatest. And somebody else said, no, what he said was, by his definition, she was not a great player because she didn't win. So that argument went back and forth. Caitlin Clark is a great player, no doubt about it. And she's the greatest scorer in NCAA history. And she'll go down as one of the greatest players in NCAA history, whether she wins a national championship or not. She got to play for one, and it got close, but they didn't win.
I think basketball is different because I think just making the Final Four is an incredible feat because basketball is so tough to win a championship.
Yeah.
Especially in college basketball.
You've got to win 4 games, 5 if you're in the first 4, which made Shaka Smart's accomplishment at VCU all the more amazing. They were in the first 4, remember. They won 5 games to get to the Final Four before they lost in the semifinals. So it's very difficult. That's why the Final Four is a great accomplishment unto itself. There's a selfish side of me, Cam, that really wants to see not only the Texas women reach the Final Four, but I'd like to be able to call a game against the great Caitlin Clark. See if they
that'd be fun.
Yeah, if they could play like Iowa somewhere along the tournament road or in the Final Four or something like that if they get there.
It'd be fun to see Vic Schaefer
how they
create a defensive game plan because their defense has been so good even despite Rory Harmon not playing.
Yeah, and that's why they're 24-3. And Madison Booker, in case you didn't hear, was named both the Big 12 Player of the Week and the Freshman of the Week. She's had that tremendous game. And this Texas women's team with 4 games remaining in the regular season, a chance to make it back-to-back Big 12 titles, that would have been unfathomable, inconceivable, you might say, to consider when they lost Rory Harmon, their best player, All-American point guard, lost her before conference play even started. Not only what Madison Booker has done, but what the others have done. Shea Holley has improved her game so much. Bill Finley, the Iowa State coach, said, I'm a big fan of hers. He said it's going to be wrong if she's not first team All Big 12 because of what she does defensively. And then somebody on social media said, oh, thanks, coach, but we got this. We know how good she is. Hey, nothing wrong with taking a compliment from a coach, an opposing coach, because remember, they do voting on that. So that's why it's been impressive to see. And what Vic and his staff have done with this team in the absence of Rory Harmon has been incredibly impressive. To be able to put themselves in position to where they now control their own destiny to, at the very least, have a share of the Big 12 Conference Championship, which they would have if they run the table, if they win their last 4 games starting Wednesday night. And that's why we've said, even as the men's team has had its ups and downs, and it's probably going to be in the NCAA tournament, but they are going to have to handle their business at home, I think, starting tonight against Kansas State to ensure the fact that they get in the field. But to see great players to do what they do, there's no doubt in my mind Max Abmas tonight will become the 12th player in NCAA basketball history to surpass 3,000 points. He didn't get 13 on Saturday because of the way Houston D'd him up and double teamed him and made every shot of his a difficult contested shot. But I have no doubt in my mind he'll get to the number tonight. And if you could get there, you would probably really enjoy it if you saw him do what he does and what Dylan Dessou has been doing of late as well. And then on the women's side, to see Madison Booker play as incredibly well as she's playing as a freshman, to see this team play as well as they are playing right now at 24-3, you got to enjoy it. Enjoy what's left of the regular season. Then they go to Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament. They're going to be at home for first and second round NCAA tournament action. So you'd have a couple of opportunities at home before they would be off to, if they win the 2 games, to either Albany or Portland. Remember, the women's bracket's different than the men's in that they don't have 4 Sweet 16 sites. Like for the men, like every year, there's 4 Sweet 16 sites. I'm trying to remember those, Kim. One of them's Dallas, American Airlines Center. One is, it's not Indianapolis. That's a first-round site. Omaha's a first-round site. I'm trying to remember where the Midwest site is. Dallas is the South site. And then there's an East and a West. The West, I think, is L.A., what used to be Staples Center. Was it Crypto.com, I guess it's called now. So I think that's the West site for the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8.
TD Garden in Boston,
So
American
Boston.
Airlines Center in Dallas,
Yep.
Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, and the Crypto.com Arena in LA.
Okay, so Detroit is your Midwest site. Los Angeles, your West. Okay, so they have the 4 sites there. The women have only 2 sites for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. They do it that way. That's attendance driven. So they have 2 regionals at each site. One of those is Albany. I've been to Albany.
You're good at going back?
Not a lot in Albany. Yeah. I mean, hey, if it means Texas is in the Sweet 16, okay, fine. The arena there, by the way, is a lot like it was built around the same time. It's very similar to how Reunion Arena in Dallas was. The other one is Portland. And Portland's pretty cool, as we know. And I've done men's games in Portland in both the old building and the new building on the same weekend. That was when Texas played in that PK80 event, that Nike PK80 event. And they played in the old Veterans Memorial Coliseum, which I was pumped to do that because that's where the Trailblazers won their only NBA title. That was a building that was built in the 60s. It hosted a Final Four in 1965, which still, by the way, was the site of what is still the highest scoring individual Final Four game in history. Now, it's largely unnoticed. You know why? It was a third-place game. But it was a Final Four game. Wichita State against Princeton. Princeton had Bill Bradley. Went on great career with the Knicks, became a senator. Bill Bradley scored 58 points in a third-place game. And then UCLA won the national championship, the first of their back-to-backs. They beat Michigan in the final. But that was in the old Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Portland. So I called one game there. That was cool. And then I missed the game on Thanksgiving, came home to do football against Texas Tech, and then went back. And in where, I don't think it's called the Rose Garden anymore. It's where the Blazers play now, their building. Nice building. You're kind of off the floor, set up kind of like what we had in Milwaukee. It's a similar setup like that, maybe a little closer to the floor, but you're kind of up in the lower level a little bit. And that's where I did a game against Gonzaga when they played there. They played Butler, Duke, and Gonzaga in that deal. So Portland is the site of 2 regionals for the women. Albany is the site of 2 regionals for the women. So if the Texas women handle their business, and they're going to be at home first and second round, all you have to do is be a top 4 seed. Right now, with that first early reveal that came out, they were a low 2 seed. They were the lowest number 2 seed, but a 2 seed. If you're a 4 seed, you host first and second round. So they're going to be at home. And if they win the 2 games there, then they're either going to go to Albany or Portland for Sweet 16, and we'll see how it goes from there. We'll hope for the best. All right, up next, we're going to hear from Vic Schaefer, and we'll talk some more men's basketball as well as we continue on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone and the iHeartRadio app.
Let's be honest, you won't be hoisting a championship trophy anytime soon.
Hail, hail, Michigan, the champions of college football.
But you could still be a winner. Get over to am1300thezone.com and check out the contest page, where we're always giving away cool prizes, including tickets to games, concerts, and events around Austin. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings.
Ready for discovery? South by Southwest is the premier destination for creative professionals from around the globe. Expect the unexpected and experience bold storytelling, thrilling live performances, cutting-edge innovations, and so much more at the 2024 South by Southwest Conference and Festival this March 8th through 16th in Austin, Texas. The most unexpected discoveries happen when diverse topics and people come together at South by Southwest. Start planning your adventure and register now at sxsw.com.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Basketball Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade explores the lives and motivations of sports, music, and entertainment icons in his podcast, The Why with Dwayne Wade. In each episode, he delves into the inspiration behind their greatness, reflects on his own career, and goes behind the curtain to get the stories you've never heard.
How did you feel about me in 2006?
Well, there wasn't a lot of love there, I'd say.
We've never had a conversation to this point.
Listen to The Why with Dwayne Wade on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
License number M18951, THCLB 76656E.
A lot of businesses talk about fast service, but then you find out those promises didn't mean much.
Yeah, that's when your definition of fast is very different than the service providers.
When it comes to plumbing emergencies, a promise like same-day service really matters.
Especially when you're standing in 2 inches of water in your living room.
Absolutely. You know, Sarah and I started Radiant Plumbing and Air Conditioning here in Austin in 1999.
Gosh.
So we've seen some bad plumbing emergencies.
Remember the guy who opened his front door and toilet water literally flowed out onto the porch?
Yeah, and you know it wasn't just water either.
Gross, gross, gross.
That was bad.
We're committed to giving you same-day emergency service.
Because when your pipes back up or your water stops running, you can't wait for help.
Radiant Plumbing and Air Conditioning. Same-day emergency service.
When quick response matters, call Radiant. 263-9988.
There's no extra charge, just extra speedy response. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's do your part again.
What?
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Hey, Texas sports fans. Shannon Sweeney here, and it's time for basketball. Thomas J. Henry Law is thrilled to be part of the action with Texas basketball game broadcasts. The athletes give it their all on the court, and Thomas J. Henry and over 250 attorneys give it their all when it comes to helping you and your family get the justice you deserve. Whether it's on the court or in the courtroom, dedication, strategy, and teamwork is crucial. For over 30 years, Thomas J. Henry Law has been committed to securing meaningful results for injured people and their families. This year, they are inviting the communities they serve to join them in celebrating 30 years of client success with major community events and giveaways. After all, their law firm would be nothing without the communities and individuals they serve. Visit tjhlaw.com to find out more. If you or a loved one has been injured, their attorneys are available 24/7 to help you. They have the reputation and resources to handle any case, and free consultations with no fees collected unless they win for you. Let's get into the Texas basketball action this season, sponsored by Thomas J. Henry Law. On and off the court, it's all about the win.
You're working really hard, and you got a lot of pride. We're running this together for a long, long ride. You can depend on us, we're tried and we're true. Give us Chevrolet, we'll always stand by you.
You won't find us rushing you along, trying to upsell you or confuse you with financial lingo. Our number one goal is your 100% satisfaction. For a better experience, together let's drive at HennaChevyAustin.com.
Hey, it's Hardball Harge here, and you need to make sure that you get out to the Carbach Round Rock Classic, proudly known as the hashtag best outside of Omaha, Kentucky, Kansas. We also have Texas State and Washington State. Get your tickets now going to roundrockclassic.net. That's from February 23rd to the 25th. You got single day passes and you got weekend passes. And as I've said, it is the best outside of Omaha. It's all happening at the Dell Diamond in Round Rock, Texas. Come be a part of all of the action.
All the good stuff. Yeah. Camps keeps you on top of pop culture.
As predicted, Judy Justice will be hitting over-the-air stations this fall. Repeats of the Amazon Freebie show, which Judith Scheinman started in 2021 following the end of Judge Judy's quarter-century run, will begin airing on local stations with roughly 400 episodes expected to be banked by the time it's rolled out in syndication. Ironically, one of Judy Justice's strongest competitors may be Judge Judy. Reruns of that show are airing on local stations and continue to be the number one court show on television and the number 2 daytime syndicated show overall behind Family Feud.
All right.
And that's what's poppin' on Camps on iHeartRadio.
Listen to Mike Hardball Harge, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Welcome back to the Craig Way Show and the voice of the Longhorns, Craig Way. Follow Craig on social media at Horn Voice.
Here on a Monday afternoon, Big Monday. Texas and Kansas State tonight at 8 o'clock. 7:30 air time here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. The tip-off is at 8. There's another Big Monday game tonight. Pretty important. Houston, Iowa State. Rematch in H-Town after Iowa State, which, of course, hasn't dropped a home game at all this season. They throttled Texas Tech on last Saturday. Houston will host Iowa State this time. Iowa State won the earlier matchup. So
I think people are sleeping on the Cyclones just a little bit, Craig. They're a dangerous team, especially come March.
They are.
They're nasty.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Houston's a better team.
Agreed.
I think we're going to see that from them, or it will be seen. I will be busy over, obviously, at Moody for Texas and Kansas State. Before we get to Vic Schaefer and some women's basketball talk, the two of the updated college baseball polls are out. And I say two because if you're unfamiliar with it, college baseball, unlike the AP and the coaches poll for football and men's basketball and women's basketball, it's alphabet soup for baseball. There's like 6 polls, and they're all pretty legitimate, by the way. Whether you're talking about perfect game, NCBWA, collegiate baseball, just about all of them are legit. But the 2 that are probably most closely followed are D1Baseball.com and the NCBWA, National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association. So those 2 rankings, updated rankings, are out. Now, in the D1 baseball poll, Texas opened the season at number 16. It was the lowest ranking among all those polls, and some Longhorn fans were grumbling about that. Let me tell you this. Texas goes 2-1 over the weekend, and they stayed number 16 in that ranking. Conversely, National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association, Texas was number 9 to start the season, went 2-1, and got dropped to 15th. So the writers are apparently a little more willing to punish, so to speak, a loss in a weekend series. And here's another thing that's kind of interesting about TCU opened the season at number 5 in the country in both of those polls. Horned Frogs did go 3-0 against Florida Gulf Coast and trailed by multiple runs in all 3 games. They were down 9-3 in the 8th. And thanks to some horrible defensive baseball, I had it on my laptop. I mean, Florida Gulf Coast looked like the Bad News Bears running into each other and balls dropping in between them. And TCU rallied back, and they won it in the walk-off. Give credit to the Frogs. They won 10-9 on Friday. And then on Saturday, they were down 10-4, came back and won 13-10. And then yesterday, they were down 5-3, and they came back and they won 11-6. So they went 3-0, and as such, they moved up 3 spots in the NCBWA rankings. D1 baseball, they won their 3 games. They won their 3 games, having outslug FGCU and come back. They stayed number 5. They weren't punished, but they weren't rewarded for struggling against Florida Gulf Coast over the weekend. Wake Forest is number 1 in both polls, and LSU is number 2 in the NCBWA, whereas Arkansas is 2 in D1. LSU is number 3 in Division I, D1Baseball.com. Florida dropped 2 spots from number 2 to number 4 after only playing and losing 1 game, whereas they dropped from 3 to 6 after going 0-1. Oregon State number 4 in the NCBWA, Arkansas number 5. TCU stayed number 5 in D1 baseball, and then the rest of the top 10 in the D1Baseball.com rankings. Vanderbilt 6, Oregon State 7, Texas A&M stayed at number 8, Tennessee number 9, and Clemson number 10. There was very little shifting. Florida dropped from 2 to 4. Arkansas went from 3 to 2. LSU went from 4 to 3. Everything else remained the same in the D1 baseball poll. And in the NCBWA rankings, it goes Wake Forest and LSU held their 1 and 2 spots. TCU moved from 6th to 3rd. Oregon State moved from 8th to 4th. They went 3-0. All 4 of those schools went 3-0. Arkansas dropped 1 spot from 4 to 5, going 2-1. And they had 1 more game. They were playing 4 games this weekend. Florida dropped from 3 to 6. Tennessee dropped 2 spots after going 2-1 from 5 to 7. Clemson, which went 3-0, went up 4 spots from 12 to 8. Texas A&M went up 1 spot from 10 to 9, and Vanderbilt dropped after going 2-1 from 7 to 10, as we mentioned. Texas, number 15 in the NCBWA rankings. They are number 16 in D1Baseball.com. And, of course, the Longhorns will host Houston Christian, coached by the immortal Lance Berkman. Be in town tomorrow as the Huskies will take on the Longhorns. All right, Texas women's basketball, 24-3 now, winners of 6 in a row, and 1 game back of Oklahoma in the Big 12 Conference standings. And after the game, Vic Schaefer picked up his 400th career win in the win at Houston on Wednesday night. He got his 100th win at Texas on Saturday. And Roger Wallace was talking to Blair Schaefer after the game, and then Vic walked over because they'd asked for him too, so he came over, and Roger's like, "Okay, I'm going to make you hand over the headset to your dad there," and there was a chuckle, and then he got a chance to visit with Vic Schaefer.
Vic, 400 sounded nice on Wednesday, and I know 100 in Texas as you get a little confetti shower, but most importantly, the way your kids played today, especially in that second half.
And how special were they today, Roger? I mean, great execution on the half court. We had, we did have 10 turnovers, but we only had 4 at halftime, but much better defense in the second half. They shot 20-something% in the fourth quarter and 36 in the third. And just, kids are just doing it, man. I mean, they just keep playing, man. They keep competing. They're having fun. We got it going in transition today a little bit. Of course, Booker makes it all go. I mean, she's just so dang good. And Shaylee made some shots for us. Shay made some, and Gaston really played well. She's getting healthy, y'all. I've said it all along. If I can get her healthy, we'll have a chance.
Is Crooks a type of player you can't simulate? I mean, you kind of have to feel it for a little while before you see what you're up against.
Man, I mean, she's really good. Really good. And I thought Taylor did a good job with her. The second half especially altered some shots, blocked some shots. And, early in the game when you're fresh, it's one thing, but you start wearing on people, working them and laying on them a little bit, you get a little tired down there. I think she got a little tired. And I thought our kids, we had a two-headed monster, and they did a pretty good job on her.
And we talked before the game. This one, they're all important here, but Oklahoma got beat, so all of a sudden those top of the standings get a little bit tighter.
Who beat them today?
West Virginia beat Oklahoma and Morgantown, so now they're sitting there with 2. You've got 3, and Aaron and I talked about, we talk about Texas and Baylor and that rivalry. But it goes back to Texas and Texas Tech before that one, and they come in here for the final time on Wednesday. I know you'd like to have it kind of like it was today here.
Boy, for sure. What a crowd today, how electric this place was. And, it just makes it more fun for the kids. We had 77,000 in here, and it was really, really electric. So we appreciate our fans today, as always, and proud of these kids. We get to play at home again on Wednesday.
Right on. Thanks, Coach. Congratulations on 100.
All right, man. Praise the Lord. Good morning.
Yeah, and another win. And then it's funny, Vic is so dialed into what's going on with the team. And then it was like, who beat them? Oklahoma. It was West Virginia beat them, and that was one that you wanted to see. And West Virginia plays Kansas State this week. That's big because right now, West Virginia, K-State, and Texas are all technically tied for second place. And they're one game back of Oklahoma. But the Longhorns hold the tie break on West Virginia. They don't yet, the key word there is yet, own the tie break on Kansas State because Kansas State does have a win over Oklahoma. They split with the Sooners. The Longhorns, of course, dropped the one game to Oklahoma earlier, but they do get the opportunity in the rematch, albeit in Norman, a week from Wednesday. That's why I said if they run the table, they would at the very least have a share of the title, and I do believe they'll draw the 1 seed for the Big 12 Conference Tournament because they hold the tie break on West Virginia, and I think they would also hold the tie break on Kansas State. Some of that depends on how Baylor does the rest of the way as well, because Baylor and Kansas State have to play again, and that in Manhattan, and K-State has already beaten Baylor once in Waco. Longhorns split with Baylor. So some of it would depend on that as well. So we'll see how it goes. But know this, if Texas does win its remaining 4 games, they get a share of the Big 12 Conference regular season championship and make it back-to-back Big 12 titles. All right, up next, more on the Longhorn men and what could be what could be ahead for the Texas men's basketball team, not only tonight but down the stretch of the regular season when we continue here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone and the iHeartRadio app.
Voice your opinion by using the iHeartRadio app talkback feature while listening to Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Your hot and cold takes need to be heard somewhere. If you send a great one, you might just hear yourself on the air.
Did you know that solar energy gives you independence from utilities and helps keep your energy costs down? Why not get a free estimate with locally owned Divided Sky Roofing and Solar? You can get more information at mydividedsky.com. That's mydividedsky.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 US-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
No other vehicle says Texas proud more than a Ford from Covert Ford of Austin. Deeply rooted in Texas history, the Covert family has taken great pride for over 114 years. That's why you can always depend on Covert Ford to deliver the best customer experience and a superior selection of new Ford vehicles. Shop online at covertford.com.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing.
Although we're marketing at a very broad scale, it does include specific local markets, and that's the beauty of iHeart's network.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Your garage door won't go up or down, so give us a call. We're all over town. Promise to you is honest and fair. The real Cedar Park overhead doors. The garage door on your house needs repairs. Call Cedar Park Doors and we'll be there. We'll get there fast and we'll treat you fair. Call Cedar Park Overhead Doors.
When is a garage door emergency repair truly an emergency? When it happens to you, of course. When you need a repair done fast, trust the experts to get it done now. Call the real Cedar Park Overhead Doors. Trust our family to fix it right the first time. For over 30 years, when our phone rings, we're ready to serve all your garage door needs. So when that spring goes sprung or you forget to open the door when backing out, we'll be there for you. Customer first, that's honest and fair. We're here for you 24 hours a day and online at cedarparkgaragedoors.com.
We work really hard while the other guy snores. Happy customers, we have more. We'll get it right and we'll get the job done. For Cedar Park Overhead Doors.
335-7441.
If you keep your money in a bank account, listen up. The banking system is once again under extreme stress, and after last year's banking crisis, the dangers are clearer than ever. Car loans are defaulting, credit card debt is ballooning, commercial real estate is on the brink of collapse. These aren't just red flags, they're the sounds of a financial ticking time bomb. But there is a safe and easy way to protect your financial future. Gold. Gold is outside the government's reach and safe from economic policies that jeopardize your wealth. Gold allows you to lock in today's value in the face of tomorrow's uncertainty. Don't wait for the next headline, crash, or bank run to act. Contact Noble Gold Investments today. As a bonus, they'll give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin as a thank you for opening a qualified account. Just use the promo code GOLD. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Looking for the perfect place to get a bite to eat before or after the game? Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina has you covered. With locations on 360 in Westlake or Quinlan Park Road in Steiner Ranch, both offer the perfect place to pregame or celebrate after the game. We use only the finest, freshest ingredients. Mouth-watering fajitas, fresh seafood, char-grilled oysters, and queso you'll want to eat by the gallon. Happy hour, dinner with family and friends, private events, Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina is the place. Visit vaqueroscafe.com. Tex-Mex done right.
Are you ready for a brand new car? Is it time to trade in the one that you have and get something new with all the latest and greatest technology? Well, you need to trade in your car and get that new one from Apple Leasing. The number's 346-9977. You can go to their website too. It's appleleasing.com, and know that you're in great hands when you call Apple Leasing. Just call them up. Say, here's about how much I want to spend. This is kind of what I want, and they'll get right back to you. I promise you. They'll give you several options to choose from, and they'll give you an unbiased opinion of what the best vehicle for you is. All in one phone call. 346-9977. That's 346-9977. I've leased cars from Apple Leasing for over 20 years. Could not recommend them any higher than I am right now. Call them. 346-9977, or check them out online. Go to appleleasing.com. Trust me.
AM 1300 The Zone occasionally holds contests. For more information about contests on this station, go to am1300thezone.com/rules.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JBC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
South by Southwest Music Festival returns to Austin March 11th through 16th with a new lineup of legendary and rising talent. Join us for South by Southwest 2024 and get ready to discover your next favorite artist. Register today at sxsw.com.
Shop simple. It doesn't get any easier. You're looking for a new Ford. You don't have time to spend hours at the dealership. So Truck City Ford in Buda has made it simple. Go online, pick yours at truckcityford.com. We can bring it to you for a home test drive. Once you determine it's perfect, you can arrange financing, value your trade, and sign all your paperwork digitally. Then simply tell us where and when you want to take delivery. Leif Johnson's Truck City Ford in Buda has made buying a new Ford simple.
Find your iHeartRadio everywhere. There are hundreds of ways to experience iHeartRadio at home and on the go, beyond the iPhone and Android app, and at iHeartRadio.com. Here's another way to connect to iHeartRadio. On the road again? Can't drive 55? Trying to catch me riding dirty? No car ride is complete without the perfect soundtrack. That's why iHeartRadio wants to complete your commuting and road tripping experience by integrating with the world's largest navigation app, Waze. Now, while you navigate turn by turn in Waze, you can also stay connected to your favorite stations, playlists, and podcasts from iHeartRadio. Just tap on the music icon from the Waze navigation screen and select iHeartRadio to listen to all your favorite content. iHeartRadio, everywhere you want to listen, including in the car through Waze on iPhone and Android. Check it out for free now. iHeartRadio, anywhere you want to listen. iHeartRadio is there.
You're listening to Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. We're back. It's the Craig Way Show with Hall of Fame broadcaster and voice of the Texas Longhorns, Craig Way.
Long as I remember, rain been coming down, clouds of mystery pouring, confusion on the ground. Goodness through the ages, trying to find the sun. And I wonder, still I wonder, who'll stop the rain?
Here on this Monday afternoon, you say who can stop the rain? They finally stopped the rain in Daytona, so they were able to race. And Cameron Parker, and now both of us grew up NASCAR fans. I mean, I grew up 15 miles from Richard Petty's garage in Level Cross, so I was always a big Petty fan. The King, his 200 career victories and all that sort of stuff. And brothers had different. Oh, we all like the Pettys, but my brothers also like me. David Pearson, 105 races. Cale Yarborough. I had another brother who was a big Dale Earnhardt fan. The whole bit. And of course, I think Petty won 7 Daytona 500s, if I remember correctly. I think he won 7. No, he won. I know he won 7 driving championships. Maybe he didn't win 7 Daytona 500s. Maybe he only won 4. I always remember the one in 79 with Bobby Allison and Cale.
No, he had 7.
He did win 7. Okay,
7 500s and 7 championships.
That's it. He's the king, and his last one I think was 79. Now he did win a Firecracker 400 when President Reagan was there to start the race, whatever, in 84. I think that was his last win. But in 79, you had Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison dueling down the back stretch of the final lap. Yep. They wind up crashing each other, and Petty slips right in between them and wins it. And, of course, a lot of folks remember that's the one where Yarborough and Allison get out and get into a full-on fist fight in the infield there.
Good old days.
Yeah. So there was that. So anyway, they're underway and they're running at Daytona. It didn't take long for somebody to already get knocked out of the race.
Yeah, lap 5, and you got a 7-car crash that includes Austin Dillon, who I believe is a Daytona 500 winner, Jimmy Johnson, a 2-time winner who's back racing after a short retirement, and some other guys as well. So, because remember, all that Florida weather, that the same weather that postponed and canceled all the Texas softball games this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, they had to not only postpone the Cup Series race, but also the Xfinity race, which is the second level of NASCAR. That actually will race tonight following the 500. So they're trying to get back on track. But, yep, all it takes, 5 laps into your season, race is already over with for a handful of drivers. That's
Wow.
NASCAR for you. That's super speedway racing for you.
Yeah.
Restrictor plate racing.
Now, let me also tell you, I was never a fan of restrictor plates. I thought, and my brothers and I shared this opinion, we always thought it led to more wrecks, not fewer. I mean, you didn't have the big one yet, or you didn't have a lot of wrecks, but you might have one big one out of that. I went to Talladega in '84 when it was pre-restrictor plate racing. Dale Earnhardt won that race. We're driving the old blue and yellow Wrangler number 3 car.
One of my favorite paint schemes of all time.
It was great. It was great. And really enjoyed that. And I was a season ticket holder the first 4 years of Texas Motor Speedway. From 97 through 2001, I was about 50 yards. I was about 100 yards off of turn 4 and about 100 yards from start finish line, 50 rows up. Great seats. Had those, really enjoyed it. Of course, that, and I moved down here that year, first year I had them. So I went back and forth the next few years. And then once I started doing Longhorn baseball, there was no way to continue to do that because it just got in the way of the spring race. And then in the fall race, you had football and so on and so forth. Basketball continues. And I mentioned kind of what the Texas Longhorns are having to deal with tonight. If you look at the Big 12 conference standings, Iowa State and Houston are tied for first atop the league standings. They're both 9-3, and they play tonight at Fertitta Center. So those two will play tonight. And then you have Baylor is 8-4. Kansas is 8-5. TCU is 7-5. Texas Tech 7-5. BYU 6-6. They lost a surprising game over the weekend in Stillwater to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Oklahoma 6-7. Then Texas and Cincinnati and Kansas State are all 5-7. UCF 4-8. Oklahoma State 3-9, and West Virginia 3-9. So technically, mathematically, the Longhorns are in a 3-way tie for 9th place. But they're a half game out of 8. They're 1 game out of 7th. And they're 2 games out of 5th. So it's still pretty tightly bunched. But as we mentioned, the Longhorns are going to have to make sure to handle their business at home because of the difficulty of the road closing schedule at Kansas, at Texas Tech, and at Baylor. They have those 3 road games left, and the 3 home games, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and OU. So they've got to be sure at the very least to handle their home games. Wouldn't kill them to win another road game too, even though they won 3 road games in conference play, including 2 over ranked opponents. And that is why Texas is still listed as being in the tournament field and not in a last 4 buys situation or on the bubble or anything like that. But they do need to handle a game like this tonight against a tough Kansas State team. And coming up next hour, Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the K-State Wildcats, will join us. If you're looking at the bracketological prognostications today, first of all, Joe Lunardi has not updated his from the weekend, where he's still at Texas as an 8 seed, facing Texas A&M, a 9 seed in the first round in Indianapolis in the Midwest, which would feed into Detroit. Jerry Palm, conversely, has updated his bracket, did it this morning, and he had Texas as a 10 seed last week and still has the Longhorns as a 10 seed. He's got a different opponent now in the first round. He's got Texas playing FAU.
Ooh.
How about that? Florida Atlantic, of course, had the great Cinderella run, got to the Final Four a year ago. Still has Texas playing in Charlotte.
Love that.
But let's be honest. You'd rather the Longhorns play FAU than Kentucky in the first round, right?
Yeah, I think so. But, I mean, those are two really tough matchups against two very experienced teams.
And then they would still, if they win, would have to face the winner of the 2 seed North Carolina and the 15 seed Colgate. Of course, Texas beat Colgate last year in the first round. But, yeah, they could wind up facing North Carolina in Charlotte in the second round if they win that first round matchup.
Is that your favorite? Well, actually, out of the first round spots, is Charlotte? I mean, that's got to be pretty high up there for you because of location in Greensboro.
If I had my pick on where to go, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Out of the 8, 10 regional sites?
8. You know,
because you have Brooklyn, Charlotte, Indianapolis, Omaha, Pittsburgh, Salt Lake City, Spokane, and then Memphis.
Yep.
Although Memphis would be nice. I'll pass on Pittsburgh. Omaha,
that's a good arena.
Really?
And
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's a good town. It is.
Okay.
Several of these places I've been to, I've done games at. Memphis, Texas played a regular season game against Memphis at FedEx Forum right after it opened. This was 2 nights before the national championship game, Texas USC in the Rose Bowl. PJ Tucker had a big game. Longhorns won that game. I think they were number 6 in the country, and Memphis was number 3 in the country. And the Longhorns won that game there in Memphis.
You have sites in Washington. You have sites in New York, California. Why not Florida? That just
it rotates.
Annual.
It rotates. They've had Miami. They've had Tampa. They've had Orlando. They've had Jacksonville in there in the first round, hosting first and second round. It rotates. Out of all of those, the one that I would probably be least enamored to go to would be Salt Lake City, because I think I've done 3 NCAA tournaments involving Texas and Salt Lake. 3. So, you know, been there, done that kind of thing, but I'll never say no to an NCAA tournament game or assignment wherever it might. I've done twice at Pittsburgh.
And they're playing the Salt Lake game at Vivint Smart Home Arena. That's not where the Jazz play, right?
Yeah, that is.
It is?
All right, so that's different. That's not playing. That was the other problem with Salt Lake, playing where Utah plays its home games. When you played there, it wasn't as, you know, it's a university building, but you weren't courtside. You were kind of off the floor a little bit and kind of on a curve. So I wasn't that crazy about that setup there. But to work in another NBA arena, I'd be okay with that.
It's now called the Delta Center. They've renamed it since they got the initial bid.
They renamed it back to Delta Center?
Back to Delta.
Remember, it was Delta, and then it was Vivint Smart Home?
Yeah.
And now it's going back to Delta?
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay. Indianapolis, I guess, would be the, what is it? The game, whatever that, where they had the Gamebridge Fieldhouse, where they had the NBA All-Star game. That's where
I heard it's a great site. Great venue.
Well, the Longhorns would have played UCLA there in the second round 3 years ago had they not lost to Abilene Christian at Lucas Oil Stadium in the first round. But that's another problem. All right, we'll be back to wrap up the hour on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Your Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone show hosts are looking good. Want to know how we know? It's time. Y'all ready? Because the Harsh Knocks Life and the Craig Way Show have live video streams, faces for radio, and the digital screen. It's main event time. It's going down. Find us on Facebook at AM 1300 The Zone.
Hey, have you heard the latest news from my friends at St. Patrick? Their #1 selling men's polo shirt from the 40 Acres is back. From game day to the golf course, we're talking about the perfect polo. It's available in sizes small through XXX with UPF 50+ sun protection and 4-way stretch quick drying fabric. It's available 2 ways. White with all over burnt orange Longhorns for away games. I've already worn that one. And burnt orange with all over white Longhorns when you're cheering them on at a home game. An embroidered Longhorn on the left chest completes the most perfect polo. It's a great shirt. I love broadcasting in it, and you'll enjoy wearing it as well. Be sure to check it out. Of course, you can go right down to the store at 5222 Burnett Road, Pull right up to the store. Don't even have to worry about a parking garage, or you can even order it online as well at SuePatrick.com. Check it out. The number one selling Longhorn men's polo from the 40 acres is back. Sue Patrick, 5222 Burnett Road, and online at SuePatrick.com.
Thomas J. Henry has been featured in Forbes magazine, Fortune magazine, and Bloomberg Business Week for securing record-breaking results for clients injured in accidents. For more info or to start your claim today, visit tjhlaw.com. San Antonio, Texas.
Tax time is here. If your plans include upgrading from what you've been driving around for way too long, then you need to come see us at Steel GMC in Round Rock. Hi, I'm Steve David, and I've been helping folks for over 30 years find the right vehicle that's been thoroughly inspected at a price you can afford. Not only do we have a great selection of pre-owned trucks, cars, and SUVs, but ours comes with our Steel Strong lifetime warranty, and that's absolutely free. Your powertrain is protected for as long as you own it. You'll find a real Steel deal on a lot full of certified pre-owned vehicles with our free Steel Strong warranty. Exit 256 in Round Rock, or see for yourself at SteelGMCRoundRock.com. Steel Strong lifetime warranty, and that's absolutely free. Your powertrain is protected for as long as you own it.
Shoppers first or shoppers last. Get a real deal from Steel.
We are professional grade.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings. We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Are you looking for chef-inspired comfort food in Austin? Then look no further than the League Kitchen and Tavern. Hey, y'all, it's Cameron Parker, and whether you're eating lunch or dinner, dining in or picking up, you need to check out the League. Try out February's Fresh Chef Specials. The burger of the month is the Shrimp Po' Boy. Oh, boy. Fried shrimp with lettuce, tomato pickles, topped with remoulade sauce on a hoagie. And sip on February's cocktail of the month, a glass of Sazerac to warm you up. Old Overholt Rye with Peychaud's bitters, a sugar cube, herb saint, and a twist of lemon. But that's not all. The League's menu now features 2 tasty appetizers, the jalapeno pepperoni flatbread and the farro salad, and 2 new entrees, grilled Angus ribeye and blackened ahi tuna. So whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, enjoy chef-inspired comfort food, or both, check out The League with 4 locally owned and operated locations in Erie Ranch, Bee Caves, Belterra, and Lakeway. It's The League Kitchen and Tavern.
AM 1300 The Zone is KBET Austin. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports talk, podcasts, and music. Free never sounded so good. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone presents the Harsh Knocks Life Show. Join Mike Harsh weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. only on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Our man CB on the text line did text us what Joe Lunardi tweeted out, an updated bracket time. Here's my question, CB, and I bet you're asking the same thing. If it's okay to tweet the thing, why aren't you putting it on the ESPN website? Or why isn't ESPN doing it? Maybe it's because when you look at it, he just lists it by conference breakdowns and says Texas is now a 9 seed instead of an 8 seed, lost at Houston, but it didn't say where they play or who they play or anything like that. That's the conference breakdown on that. So would you not want to just go ahead and have the whole thing out off of that? So anyway, he's got last 4 buys, Texas A&M in there in the last 4 buys. We have another hour of the program to go. We're going to visit with Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the K-State Wildcats, and more here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
It's the Craig Way Show with the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Craig Way.
Final hour of the program here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Craig Way and the producer, Cam Parker, with you up until 5 o'clock. Then we'll head on over to Moody Center. Tonight's big Monday match game between the Texas Longhorns and the Kansas State Wildcats. And, like we said, CB sent us the thing. There was a tweet from Joe Lenardi that showed each team in the field, but it didn't have the matchups like he normally has because ESPN did not update the actual full-on bracketology. So what he had was, what CB called her attention to was the conferences. How many teams did each conference get into the field of 68 as a result of that? And right now, he still has 9 from the Big 12 getting in, but he also has 3 on the bubble. For example, he's got the ones that are on the bubble would be TCU, a 9 seed, Cincinnati in the first 4 out, and Kansas State considered. I think that's a new category this year. Considered number 80 overall. That's Texas number 33 overall in the 9 seed right now. So, and yet we talk about how important this game is tonight between these two, and they are that closely matched. We'll visit with Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice for Kansas State, coming up in a few minutes as we get ready for that. What's going on in the Daytona 500? How have you been keeping tabs on that?
Right now, Christopher Bell leading 24 laps through. I believe it was Joey Logano who was on the pole. 3rd and 4th, you know how it is, Craig. You pick a line, they rotate back and forth. The high line gets a big push, and the bottom line gets a big push. But so far, I think after that wreck, especially 5 laps, and the drivers are going to be like, you know what? Let's maybe calm down a bit here. I don't want to already have my season end on the wrong note 5 laps into the Great American Race. So we'll probably see things kind of calm down here. Now, they do have the stages, right? So the first stage is 65 laps, 200 laps total, 500 miles. But, I wouldn't imagine to see any sort of big wrecks until probably towards the end, when we're going to have about 6 or 7 different wrecks and a green, white checkered and all that good stuff.
Yeah. All right. The Longhorn baseball team took 2 or 3 from San Diego over the weekend. And like we said, San Diego's in the West Coast Conference. That's a good mid-major league that has a mid-major collegiate baseball league that has, Gonzaga in there has been good in baseball, Loyola Marymount, Santa Clara. They've had several teams that have been good in baseball, and USD is one of those teams that's good in college baseball. And I know David Pierce feels as though they got a nice test. Longhorns took 2 of 3. They won handily yesterday, 9-3, but they got down early in the game. They were down 2-0. They were down 3-1 before they rallied back and ended up winning it 9-4 was the final yesterday, 9-4. And Texas won on Friday night 7-3, highlighted by the Jalen Flores Grand Slam. They lost in 11 innings on Saturday in the chilly conditions at the ballpark, 6-5 in 11 innings. And then came out yesterday and they won. As we mentioned, Chandler Witt only threw 23 pitches officially. It was a 2-0 count, which those pitches ultimately were not charged to him, but he threw the ball 25 times, but it was listed as 23 pitches on that, but got no decision. He retired the batters in the first inning on a 1-2-3 frame on 10 pitches, but struggled in the second inning, couple of walks, dropped a bunt for an error, and that opened the door, and he was done after that. But excellent performances on the mound. Cody Howard, who would get the win, came on and worked 4 innings, and then after that, also, Max Grubbs looked good. Now, again, there was a line drive shot that went off his hand, and hopefully everything's okay with that. And the Longhorns finished it up. So after the game, our Nathan Thornhill down on the field visiting with Longhorns head coach David Pierce.
Coach, solid win today. Talk about the response you saw from your team.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't start well. I mean, we got behind early, and we were able to just keep playing and not panic and put together a couple of solo innings, and then had the 3-run inning and kind of made some separation there. But, we were able to use some of our team speed today and get into our short game a little bit, and I think that was huge for us.
Talk about Witt's start. I know we knew it was going to be abbreviated, but what can you take away from his outing today?
But he's got a lot of work to do. He's still trying to figure things out, and it's frustrating for him, frustrating for the team, but nobody's giving in and nobody's giving up. We just got to continue working.
Cody Howard, solid 4 innings, gets the W, kind of limited the damage and allowed the offense to kind of come along.
Yeah, I mean, just when we go back to fastball command, that's really what he did. Commanded the fastball, and he still he just put himself in a position to give us a chance to win, but he just stayed on attack. And I'd like to see his slider and his changeup a little bit more effective, but I like the way he competed today.
Speaking of attacking, Grubbs looked really good out there today. One, what did you think about his outing? And 2, is he okay?
Well, with their left-handers, they really sink the ball. He needs to sink the ball because they want to pull the ball, and he did a really good job, and he's a good matchup there. With the right-handers, did a great job of getting strike one with the slider and pitching a little backwards to them. So as far as his hand, I mean, I was going to Fontenot right there if we had any kind of traffic anyhow, so I'm not sure. But I believe he's okay the way he responded.
Switching to the offensive side of the ball, a lot of pressure on San Diego today. Quality at bats, 5 consecutive innings with runs, 2 of those with crooked numbers. Talk about that.
Yeah, just continuing to have good at bats, not panicking, and doing the little things. I mean, we had a hit and run attempt, which we got stolen back on. We've got a couple of bunts down, which are key when you're trying to get things going, and just not panicking and not trying to do too much. And that's really what I saw. I saw a team that wants to try to win this series and did a good job of getting behind early and then holding on and winning that thing.
Talk about the top third of your order. 12 of 20 RBIs this weekend from the top third. Just talk about those 3 guys.
Yeah, those guys carried us this weekend, and that's what you need. You need 3 or 4 or 5 guys in the lineup getting it done while the other 4 maybe are struggling, and then, that flips on the next ball game. So I'm really pleased with JT's approach. When you look at what you're looking for a leadoff, getting deep into counts, taking the base on ball, and then having the ability to drive the ball in the gap, which he did today. And then Peyton's just a great hitter, and if he gets a good pitch to hit, you can count on him having a good at bat.
Congrats on the opening weekend series win, Coach. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I think they're a good ball club. I really do. I think they're going to do well on the West Coast. They're an older team, and they don't make very many mistakes, and that was a good test for us. But big series win for us. Appreciate it, Nate.
All right, so there was, and they take the first 2 or take 2 out of 3 from San Diego. Houston Christian comes in tomorrow evening, and it is a 6:30 first pitch, 6:15 airtime here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. And then Cal Poly comes in for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday games. Another program from another good mid-major collegiate baseball conference coming in from the Big West. And that'll be this weekend as Texas will host Cal Poly. And then one more home game on the season opening 8-game homestand against St. John's before the Longhorns head to Minute Maid Park that following weekend and get ready for LSU, Texas State, and Vanderbilt 3 consecutive games in as many days. By the way, speaking of baseball, obviously as a Dodger fan, I'm going to, follow them on Twitter, on X. And they show in his first live BP session.
Ooh, Ohtani.
Home run.
Oh, man.
Crushes one out of there. So
how excited are you for opening day?
I am. He's not gonna pitch, obviously, coming off the TJ surgery, but he is gonna swing back. And remember, they open the season in Korea.
Oh,
the Dodgers do, yeah, in South Korea. So it's
gonna be a massive draw.
Yeah, no question about that. All right, up next, we'll talk some college basketball with our good friend Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, previewing tonight's matchup between Texas and K-State at Moody Center. It's an 8 o'clock tip, 7:30 airtime right here on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. Longhorns basketball plays here.
Goes up strong reverse side. What a lay-in. Broccoli Hunter lobbing it in for Dylan Mitchell, who slams it down.
Ace drives left side, kicks to Sue. The finish.
Here goes Hunter behind the back pass. Into Weaver. Into lays it in. Oh, goodness. What a way to close out the first half.
Longhorns basketball plays here. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
Get the Apple Leasing Advantage today. Visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com.
Did you know that solar energy gives you independence from utilities and helps keep your energy costs down? Why not get a free estimate with locally owned Divided Sky Roofing and Solar? You can get more information at mydividedsky.com. That's mydividedsky.com.
South by Southwest Music Festival returns to Austin March 11th through 16th with a new lineup of legendary and rising talent. Join us for South by Southwest 2024 and get ready to discover your next favorite artist. Register today at sxsw.com.
Looking for the perfect place to get a bite to eat before or after the game? Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina has you covered. With locations on 360 in Westlake or Quinlan Park Road in Steiner Ranch, both offer the perfect place to pregame or celebrate after the game. We use only the finest, freshest ingredients. Mouth-watering fajitas, fresh seafood, char-grilled oysters, and queso you'll want to eat by the gallon. Happy hour, dinner with family and friends, private events, Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina is the place. Visit vaqueroscafe.com. Tex-Mex done right.
Your garage door won't go up or down, so give us a call. We're all over town. Promise to you is honest and fair. The real Cedar Park overhead doors. The garage door on your house needs repairs. Call Cedar Park Doors and we'll be there. We'll get there fast and we'll treat you fair. Call Cedar Park Overhead Doors.
If a garage door spring goes sprung or your opener won't open, the only place you need to call is the real Cedar Park Overhead Doors. Why us? When you need a repair done honestly, fairly, and you want it done right, the real Cedar Park Overhead Doors will always answer the call. We've been helping openers open and springs stay sprung across Central Texas for more than 30 years. Our phones get answered 24/7. Let our family serve yours. Customer first reviews, because we fix it right the first time, every time. 24 hours a day and online at cedarparkgaragedoors.com.
Work really hard while the other guy snores. Happy customers, we have more. We'll get it right and we'll get the job done. For Cedar Park Overhead Doors. 335-7441.
License number M18951, THCLB 76656E.
A lot of businesses talk about fast service, but then you find out those promises didn't mean much.
Yeah, that's when your definition of fast is very different than the service providers.
When it comes to plumbing emergencies, a promise like same-day service really matters.
Especially when you're standing in 2 inches of water in your living room.
Absolutely. You know, Sarah and I started Radiant Plumbing and Air Conditioning here in Austin in 1999.
Gosh.
So we've seen some bad plumbing emergencies.
Remember the guy who opened his front door and toilet water literally flowed out onto the porch?
Yeah, and you know it wasn't just water either.
Gross, gross, gross.
That was bad.
We're committed to giving you same-day emergency service.
Because when your pipes back up or your water stops running, you can't wait for help.
Radiant Plumbing and Air Conditioning, same-day emergency service.
When quick response matters, call Radiant, 263-9988.
There's no extra charge, just extra speedy response. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's do your part again.
What?
It's the Marketer's Report. Today, Kate Cronin, Chief Brand Officer of Moderna, tells us about the advantages the speed of audio production affords their growing tech company.
At Moderna, we have a mindset saying that we pivot
fearlessly. And I think with audio, you can pivot fearlessly. You can go where the news is and bring in content that perhaps you didn't have a few weeks earlier. It's less 6 months in advance or 3 months in advance when you do a TVC. You're able to create really nimble content, which I think in this day and age, and particularly at Moderna, where we have new information coming out on a regular basis, being able to feed that information to the audio format makes being nimble and pivoting easy.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to all, from national to local, every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. Not just a media company, iHeartMedia is your access company. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
At GiveMeTheVin.com, we like pretty cars. We like nice cars. We'll pay extra. If you think you've got a good one, go to GiveMeTheVin.com. We'd love to buy it.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Hey, Texas sports fans. Shannon Sweeney here, and it's time for basketball. Thomas J. Henry Law is thrilled to be part of the action with Texas basketball game broadcasts. The athletes give it their all on the court, and Thomas J. Henry and over 250 attorneys give it their all when it comes to helping you and your family get the justice you deserve. Whether it's on the court or in the courtroom, dedication, strategy, and teamwork is crucial. For over 30 years, Thomas J. Henry Law has been committed to securing meaningful results for injured people and their families. This year, they are inviting the communities they serve to join them in celebrating 30 years of client success with major community events and giveaways. After all, their law firm would be nothing without the communities and individuals they serve. Visit tjhlaw.com to find out more. If you or a loved one has been injured, their attorneys are available 24/7 to help you. They have the reputation and resources to handle any case, and free consultations with no fees collected unless they win for you. Let's get into the Texas basketball action this season, sponsored by Thomas J. Henry Law. On and off the court, it's all about the win.
Don't miss the iHeart Country Festival at the Moody Center on Saturday, May 4th. Tickets on sale now at iHeartCountryFestival.com.
Got a 20-minute delay behind this crash with the left lane blocked on 35 southbound at Grand Avenue Parkway. It is slow and go from 3406. We've got a stalled car on the outside shoulder is shut down on Ben White. It's eastbound at South 1st Street. And road construction has your fast lane shut down on 281. Southbound between Bulverde and Marshall. I'm Kat Cortez with a look at your Austin area traffic.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Don't miss huge savings on better sleep during Mattress Firm's President's Day sale. For a limited time, shop in store to score a Sleepy's Queen mattress for only $89.99. That's over 60% off and the lowest price ever. So hurry in today. This deal is only here while supplies last.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 original stations waiting for you to explore right now, like 24/7 comedy.
Men don't settle there. We surrender.
Women, we never express the emotions we're actually feeling, right? I'm fine means I'm about to stab you in the neck.
Clips from today's top comedians and the greatest of all time.
Donut hole. If you want a donut, have a donut. Why are you eating the hole?
When you need a laugh, just open the free iHeartRadio app and search comedy.
You can actually change the station.
iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
Texas basketball plays here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Back to the Craig Way Show. Connect with Craig through the text line by texting Texas to 81530, followed by your message. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Okay, I got to ask this question here before we welcome our next guest. You hit me back. In this BB King, the thrill is gone?
It is.
Okay, why are we getting the thrill is gone? Are you saying the thrill is gone out of for Texas and Kansas State because they're playing in a must-win game tonight? Is that what
it could be, correct? You can read into it any way you want to.
Okay.
It's also was 16th on the charts this day, 1970.
Okay, all right, we'll go along with that. BB King, with whom I share a birthday. The late BB King, yeah. The thrill is not gone for the Texas Longhorns and Kansas State Wildcats because they both need victories here headed down the stretch of the NCAA regular season, getting ready for the Big 12 Conference Tournament coming up next month in March. And always a great pleasure to visit with a good friend, Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, who joins us on the hotline. I don't know about you, Wyatt, but I get the feeling, hey, it doesn't matter whether the team is 15-10 or 25-5 or whatever. The thrill is always there when we get to call a game, right?
Well, that's what I think.
And, there's a little bit extra for me in this one, and Stan too, my partner, because we've been coming down here a long, long time. And it's hard not to think about, what happens next. Will we have an opportunity to come back here and play football someday, or play at the Moody Center again and things like that? So I've been coming down here since 2002, and it's we've had a lot of good ones, in a lot of sports. I think back to last year too. I asked Coach Tang about the game from last year. Is 116-103. That's one of the coolest games I've ever had the pleasure to call. So yeah, there's lots of memories there. I remember getting knocked off the air by one of your players coming over the table, and he didn't knock my equipment out, but it knocked out the electricity to the table, and your people were great getting it back on relatively shortly. I'll bet you $1 and I'm not a bettor, but I'll bet you $1 you remember this game. That was the Denny Clemente 44-point game. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that one. Here's one that I remember too. Who was the kid that played for K-State? This would have been my first year taking over the play-by-play, 01-02. I forgot his last name. First name was Paco.
The
reason why I say that is because he got a tip in at the buzzer at Bramblage.
Okay.
And that was my first year. And the students stormed the floor and went running right over the top of us. I mean, they trampled Greg Klingensmith and Eddie Orrin and me. I mean, they just came straight over the top of us, over the table. In fact, one of the students knocked a pretty pricey piece of equipment of ours on the floor and broke it. And so our engineer, Greg Klingensmith, sent, you know what? Somebody said, it was not Paco. I think it was Purvis Pasco, maybe.
Oh, Purvis Pasco. Yeah. That was the first guy that popped into my mind when you said that.
Yep.
But I didn't want to say it wrong. Purvis was a good athlete too, man. I came a year after you, of course, but I very much enjoyed that first year, even though it was a struggle. But he and Matt Seabrandt and those guys, that was a fun team for me personally.
Yeah, it was Purvis Pasco, and he had a tip in at the buzzer. I think it was like a 72-71 game. Tom Asbury was still the coach of K-State, and it was and I remember, so we had a piece of our equipment get break, and Greg Klingensmith, our engineer, actually sent a bill to the Kansas State Athletic Department, not really expecting a response. They paid it. They sent him a check.
Way.
Yeah, it was it was about like $600 piece of equipment. They wrote him a check and sent it. So I said, what? Those people in Manhattan, Kansas are all right by me. So it was
that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, I mean, we think about this, Wyatt. There have been so many great memories. Football, basketball. K-State had the great run at football for several years over Texas. Texas, of course, has had the big run in the last few years, but they've had some really good games between the two. Basketball, we pointed out, both the men and even baseball. I always, Keith Moreland and I will always remember in 2003, that 20-inning game on a chilly Friday night that was in 38 degrees. Yes, and we remember that. Yeah. And I remember our good friend, your associate athletic director, Casey Scott, telling us after the game, their number one concern was that the bars were going to close soon in Aggieville, and the students were going to pour down the street toward the ballpark. They were going to head for the ballpark. But
no doubt.
Yeah. So it was, but you make a great point. Who knows with the future of college athletics, what's going to happen? I know there's exciting times ahead for the Big 12 with the ones who have come in and the four new ones who will come in next year. But you're right. We have memories of seeing each other games and friendships and stuff like that we build. And so it is going to be different, no doubt.
Without a doubt. And, you said right at the beginning there that this is such a big game for both. I know you've been covering the league just a scratch longer than I have, but I don't know that I've ever seen the league this balanced top to bottom. I think everybody that isn't watching K-State and Texas tonight will be watching Houston and Iowa State. But when you go to the top of the league, to the bottom of the league, I don't know. I just feel like everybody can beat somebody on a given night. And I know we say that every year, but I think it's more so this time than ever before. Well, I mean that sincerely. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. And listen, there's no better example of that than the fact that you've got two teams meeting tonight. One is 15-10, the other 16-9, and both were Elite Eight teams a year ago. And
correct.
And
that's so well said. Yeah.
I mean, that's how difficult it is.
Yeah, and you look at. I was talking to some of our coaches about this today at the shoot around there at the Moody Center. You think about how well Dylan DeSue's playing right now, and Asmus and Hunter and so on and so forth, and yet you look up and Texas is 5-7, and like K-State, I suppose they're probably looking at a handful of games like we do. We had a shot in Lubbock and lost. We had a shot in Ames and lost. We had a shot in Provo and didn't win. One in Morgantown, which not everybody has done. So yeah, it's been wild.
Same thing here. A shot in Morgantown for Texas, home game against Iowa State, home game against Houston, then went overtime. Home game against Texas Tech. There were winnable games, no doubt about it, and it kind of speaks to that. Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the K-State Wildcats. Here's something else I find fascinating about this matchup. You have two teams that went to the portal and picked up what I think is absolute gold through the portal. Max Asmus, who did consider Kansas State, and then he wound up transferring to Texas. And unless he has another game like he did this past Saturday, probably he's going to top 3,000 points for his career tonight, be the 12th man in NCAA history to do it. And then you have Tyler Perry, who, as a North Texas ex and a proud alum, I saw him lead them to the NIT championship, and he's done a marvelous job for K-State. And here's two teams fighting to climb up in the standings with two absolute gold mine finds through the portal.
That's perfectly said, and that's why I think the league is so hard, because I don't know if you could be at the top of the standard there, like an Asmus, where you're talking about 3,000 points, but everybody has one or two of those kind of guys. I mean, you didn't mention Kaluma. Kaluma's been really good for K-State, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I think you can look at every team, whether it's a freshman like the Momchilevich kid in Ames, or but generally speaking, the portal, everybody's got one or two, and I think that's what this is going to be moving forward. You're seeing fewer high school kids. All these coaches will tell you, get old, stay old, and it's pretty easy to do that right now if you're competing in NIL money and in the best league in college basketball.
Yeah, no question about it, and so it makes it a challenge as well. Like you said, there've been so many close games. And of course, not only did we get a chance to see Kaluma last year, but also when he was playing for Creighton, when Texas played Creighton, got a chance to see him play there. What is the biggest thing you think that? Because I can tell you what it is with Texas, but first I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on what's the biggest thing that, at least in key moments, or at least in winning time, as the coaches like to say, might have eluded the Wildcats and kept them from having more wins than they have.
Well, I think a couple of things come to mind, and maybe I'll say 2.5 to almost 3. They've been really up and down in the rebounding part of it, and that will be right at the top of their list tonight. They'll have to compete on the glass to have a chance here. Secondarily, they go through stretches, and this happened even just this past Saturday at home against TCU, where they're up in the game, and the next thing you know, boom, a 20-2 run by TCU, and you go down 10 or 11. I mean, they've had too many of those types of stretches. And then the third thing, I think, is just taking care of the ball. They're one of the poorest teams in all of college basketball, honestly, in turnovers. And with the rebounding back to that, Coach will be the first to tell you face-to-face, Craig, that K-State lost that game on Saturday because of rebounding, and here's why. TCU had 20 second-chance points against the Wildcats on Saturday, and K-State made only 1 of 15 threes. They're capable offensively, but that's where they've been really inconsistent. On the defensive end, they've been pretty solid.
Yeah, what you just described is what is plagued Texas when they lost, giving up second-chance points and too many offensive rebounds. That's what. And by the way, since we're on the subject of other guys through the portal, L.J. Cryer at Houston, Hunter Dickinson at Kansas. I mean, we could go on and on and on, couldn't we?
Well, that's what I got the release from the league today about the player of the week and the newcomer of the week, and it was the same guy. And I my first thought was, how in the heck does that happen in this league with so many options?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's impossible to think that that's even the case. But you can go through every team and name a couple of those guys. Dickinson is just a walking double-double. How fortunate is Houston to have all of those guys back and also have LJ Cryer?
Yeah.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
I love the league though, man. And it's been, even through K-State's ups and downs, these games are so fun to call because I think Coach mentioned today, we've lost 4 one-possession games, 1 or 2 possession games. And it's just, it's tough when you don't win your share of those. And we're about an inch and a half of being 3-3 on the road in the league instead of 1-5. But reality is we're 1-5.
Well, and then the converse of that is Texas has 3 road wins in the Big 12, including over 2 ranked opponents in TCU and OU, and has 4 home conference losses. So
I know,
and they only lost 1 home game total all of last year, and that was to K-State. What's as important as anything else you think tonight for Coach Tang's team?
Well, I mentioned the rebounding. That will be right at the top of the list. But the other thing is what we were talking about there a moment ago, because I believe that they're starting to make a little bit of progress, even though it doesn't look like it from afar when you look at K-State and the fact that they're 1-6 in their last 7, and that 1 win was at home against Kansas. But they've probably played better than that. But they've got to minimize those stretches of 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes to where they go 1 for 7 or 0 for whatever. Those are the things that have hurt them. And then with Texas, with their abilities to score, you can't have live ball turnovers because they're going to score at the other end, whether it's Hunter, Max, or whoever it might be. That's just kind of what they do.
Sounds like we're describing mirror images of one another, which means we're probably in for a great game tonight. Hey,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the K-State Wildcats. Hey, well, listen, we know we got tonight, and who knows, we'll see each other in Kansas City, and we'll see where it leads from there, but we're looking forward to it tonight.
We are too, partner. Always great to come to Austin. Nice talking to you. See you soon.
Thank you, Wyatt. All right, that's Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the Kansas State Wildcats. In a lot of ways, kind of mirror images, one of taking care of the basketball, rebounding, not giving up offensive boards, not giving up second chance points. And he talked about those stretches where they've struggled in some games. Like I said, Longhorns went, I think, 5.5 minutes without a point on Saturday against Houston. Some of it's the opponent, who you're playing and where you're playing and things like that. But there's even other games where they had stretches like that when they had the 12-point lead at home against UCF. And a stretch like that in Morgantown in West Virginia. And you can look back over a lot of those things. But now they don't have time to look back. They got to look forward and make sure they're taking care of their home games. If you can steal another on the road, that's great. Got to win your 3 home games, I think.
And it reminds me kind of with Texas with the guard play as well with Tyler Perry. He'll have games where he'll drop 26, 29 points, and then the next night you can't find him on the court. Kind of similar to Texas sometimes in terms of how defenses will kind of hone in on Max A. Smith or Dolan Lazu. Same thing with Kansas State. So looking at tonight, if Max has a big game or Lazu has a big game, that might favor Texas. But if it's Cam Carter or Tyler Perry, might favor K-State.
I'll tell you this. What you don't want to have to deal with is Tyler Perry in overtime.
That's right.
He's averaging 11 points in the second half and overtime, comparing to 4 points a game in the first half. So if you get him in OT, he's dangerous. And Baylor found that out.
They played 6 OT games this year, correct? That's got to be a record.
Yeah. And so we'll see where it goes from there. All right, 8 o'clock tonight. Should be an awful lot of fun. 7:30 your time here on The Zone. All right, we've got more coming up as we continue here on this Monday afternoon on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone and the iHeartRadio app.
Text Texas, followed by your message to 81530 to chat along with your favorite sports radio AM 1300 The Zone hosts. That's Texas, followed by your message to 81530. Standard data and message rates may apply. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Longhorns basketball plays here.
As picked off by Dylan Mitchell. Here is the Mitch driving in for a slam dunk. The circles for the
right side. Asmus goes right around Heyman, puts it up. Missed it. Foul slam by Weaver. Boy, did he elevate into Weaver. Oh, my goodness. Individual slam dunk, a no-look feed.
Longhorns basketball plays here. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. From the ABA Heating and Cooling Weather Center, this is Zone Weather.
Clear skies tonight, a low of 45. Sunny, warmer tomorrow, a high of 78, a low of 57 for tomorrow night.
This report is sponsored by Robert Half. Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Looking for a new truck? Well, you're in luck at Steel GMC in Round Rock. When you hear you'll get a real deal at Steel GMC, you have my word on it. Hi, I'm Steve David, General Manager of the new Steel GMC in Round Rock. When you hear it's Truck Month at Steel GMC, that means you find a great steel deal for a very limited time. All 2024 Sierra 1500s qualify for 1.9% financing for 72 months. So let me find you the perfect 2024 GMC Sierra. I've been doing just that for over 30 years now. You'll find a real deal on a new GMC here at Steel GMC. Exit 256 in Round Rock, or see for yourself at steelgmcroundrock.com. When you hear you'll get a real deal at Steel GMC, you have my word on it. And that makes our truck month better than anyone else's in Central Texas.
Shoppers first or shoppers last. Get a real deal from Steel.
We are professional grade.
South by Southwest Music Festival returns to Austin March 11th through 16th with a new lineup of legendary and rising talent. Join us for South by Southwest 2024 and get ready to discover your next favorite artist. Register today at sxsw.com.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Okay, everyone gather around. I have some exciting
Running her shoe factory, Kendra talks the talk and walks the walk.
We're switching to green energy.
She needs a biotech consultant to erase her carbon footprint.
All operations will net zero emissions.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. No sharks or competitive leagues. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. you can turn $10 into $1,000. Last week, I won over $200 picking basketball, and this week, I feel even better about my picks. This week on Prize Picks, I'm taking the Joker for more than 10 rebounds and Luka Doncic for more than 32 points. Both guys have been on a tear recently. I'll tell you, it's like stealing money. Download the app today and use the code Parker for your first deposit match of up to $100. That's code Parker on Prize Picks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
You're working really hard and you got a lot of pride. We're all in this together for a long, long ride. You can depend on us, we're tried and we're true. Henna Chevrolet, we'll always stand by you.
Henna Chevrolet has been an Austin original for over 80 years, and we've been treating customers right and saving them some serious money since the beginning. For straightforward, all-inclusive pricing, together, let's drive at HennaChevyAustin.com.
Basketball Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade explores the lives and motivations of sports, music, and entertainment icons in his podcast, The Why with Dwayne Wade. In each episode, he delves into the inspiration behind their greatness, reflects on his own career, and goes behind the curtain to get the stories you've never heard.
How did you feel about me in 2006?
Well, there wasn't a lot of love there, I'd say.
We've never had a conversation to this point.
Listen to The Why with Dwayne Wade on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
We're just hearing that a search is underway for a 3-year-old British girl who's gone missing in the Algarve area of Portugal.
Someone's taken her, Madeline's gone.
Words cannot describe the anguish and despair that we are feeling as the parents of our beautiful daughter, Madeline.
Parents of Madeline McCann are now considered formal suspects by the Portuguese police authorities.
We have played no part in the disappearance of our lovely daughter, Madeline.
There are days where you just want to get under the duvet or just want to be in a coma till it's over.
My name is Mark Salnokonoko, and I'm a reporter for 9.com.au, and this is a podcast called Maddie. The Maddie podcast series explores what many believe is the well-known story of Madeline McCann's disappearance. But this is an investigation of the evidence that could make you question everything you thought you knew about the case.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
The Hard Knocks Life Show. Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. Back to the Craig Way Show. Connect with Craig through the text line by texting Texas to 81530, followed by your message. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Our thanks again to our good friend Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the Kansas State Wildcats. Think about this, Cam. Like I said, there's two teams. One's 15-10, the other 16-9. Both were in the Elite Eight last year. Both were moments away from going to the Final Four. Florida Atlantic did knock off Kansas State and got to the Final Four. And Texas, of course, went down to the final minute with Miami before falling on that. So,
I think I had K-State in my Final Four, actually.
Did you really?
I was really
last year. Did you really?
Year.
Wow. Okay.
I loved them a lot last year.
To the text line, several different questions there. One guy said, I started making a sandwich and Halliburton had 15 points before I could take a bite. The NBA All-Star game. Yeah, that makes sense. CB says, I don't enjoy anything Draymond Green. I despise him. Yeah, they had him involved in that.
Yeah, CB does not like.
He's not on board with Draymond.
He's not on. I did have Kansas State in my Final Four, by the way.
Wow. How'd you wind up in your contest?
I won it.
Well, there you go.
I'm trying to figure out how I won it. I don't think
having K-State in your Final Four got you closer.
Yeah, I had Alabama and Kansas in my national championship game. Wasn't close in that.
Yeah, it ended up not working. I think I had Kansas in the.
But no one in their right mind had San Diego State or FAU,
right,
or Miami,
or Miami.
Or UConn. So it's just, you get one Elite Eight team right, and you probably had a good chance of winning your bracket.
Somebody asked, what is UT's record against, I'm gonna guess you're saying North Carolina, not Northern Colorado, because all it says is NC. So I'm gonna guess it's actually very good if you're talking men's basketball. They're 9-3 all time against Carolina, and that was after starting 0-2. So they've won 9 of the last 10, and their first win was in like December of 95, the 95-96. They beat Carolina. Sonny Alvarado in a big game to beat the Tar Heels that year. Then they beat him in the NCAA tournament. Roy Williams' first year as head coach. They beat him in Denver. That's when Royale Ivy said that he was like dizzy because of the altitude, lightheaded, and he knocked down 2 big free throws. They won that by 3. Beat him in 2010. That was in the first game played at Jerry World, first basketball game. Dexter Pittman had a big game in that one. In 2011, they won on a Corey Joseph jumper. It was in December 2010.
I was in attendance.
You were at that game at the Greensboro Coliseum.
You were too.
Yep. 2012 was the last time they lost. That was in Chapel Hill. They lost by 19, but then they turned around. They beat them at home by 18. They won in Chapel Hill by 3. I'll always remember that, 20-14. Then won on the Javon Felix three-pointer in 2016. Beat them in 2019. Oh, the neutral site. That was in the 2021 would have been the neutral. That was the one in Asheville at the Maui Invitational. They got transplanted. They beat them by 2 points.
That was that Matt Coleman's game-winning jumper?
Yep.
At the buzzer?
Yep. In 2021. Yep. Beat them in 2019. Why is this one escaping me? It says neutral site. I'm trying to remember where that one was played in 2019. All right, I'll pull it up here in a minute. But anyway, so yes, they've done quite well against North Carolina over the years. Someone else asking the question, what is the song that closes the show every day? It's the great Ramsey Lewis, the Ramsey Lewis Trio with the In Crowd. You may have heard the vocal part of the In Crowd with Dubby Gray, the same guy who does Drift Away. He did but Ramsey Lewis Trio did the In Crowd. So that's what he done. I'd always liked the Ramsey Lewis Trio. Always been very fond of that. In addition to the Longhorns game tonight on Big Monday against Kansas State, you heard Wyatt Thompson talk about as well. He said those who are not watching Texas-Kansas State will probably be watching Houston and Iowa State. That game is at Fertitta Center. Houston lost at Iowa State earlier this season. Everybody has lost at Iowa State earlier this season. Nobody has beaten Iowa State at Hilton Coliseum. And they beat Texas Tech there last Saturday. They've beaten Kansas there. This was a year where Texas was not going up there, and it was probably good enough thing. Heck, they had a tough enough time with them at home as they dropped that game to Iowa State at home. The new top 25 polls are out in basketball. UConn is the first unanimous number 1 this season, getting all 62 first-place votes. Houston is 2. Then it goes Purdue, Arizona, Tennessee. Iowa State is 6th. Marquette, 7. Duke, 8. Kansas, 9. North Carolina, 10. Baylor starts the second, 10, and number 11, followed by Illinois, Alabama, Auburn, Creighton, Dayton, Kentucky, St. Mary, San Diego State, and South Carolina. And then the final 5 are Washington State, Colorado State, Texas Tech in at number 23, Florida number 24, BYU at number 25. So there you go with wins on that. So Houston moved up to number 2 ahead of Purdue. Purdue fell out of the top spot after losing to Ohio State, a barely above 500 Ohio State team that had just fired its coach. So that was an impressive win for Ohio State to beat Purdue. And in the women's college basketball rankings, The top 6 remain the same. South Carolina is number 1, still the only undefeated team left in major college basketball, men's or women's. Ohio State is 2, Stanford 3, Iowa 4, Texas is 5. That's where they were a week ago, and NC State is 6. Then you have USC moving up to 7, Virginia Tech moving up to 8, Oregon State 9, Kansas State dropped to number 10 and dropped 3 spots to number 10. And then it's Colorado, UCLA, LSU, Indiana, UConn is 15. Gonzaga, Syracuse, Utah, Notre Dame, and Louisville in the top 20 in the final 5. Creighton is 21. West Virginia, 22. Oklahoma held on to its 23rd spot despite losing to West Virginia over the weekend. Baylor dropped 3 spots to number 24. And Princeton is number 25 in the poll. So Big 12 well represented on both the men's and women's side. We'll be back to wrap up today's program here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Longhorns basketball plays here. Up top on the right side, Cunningham rifles the pass to the baseline to Tyrese Hunter. Hunter back to Cunningham. Clean look at the 3. Fires it and drains it. Longhorns. Hunter has it. Lobbing it in for Mitchell, and Dillon slams it down. Longhorns have it in transition. Coming to the right side pass. Individual slam dunk. A no-look feed from Max Haismith. Longhorns basketball plays here. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
In this week's Marketers Report, we hear about the importance of local radio from Allison Griffin, head of marketing at State Farm.
iHeart has such a broad broadcast reach that is local, and for us to be able to touch customers with a local feel but at a national scale is so efficient and important for us.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, trusted influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
When it comes to business, upgrades are everywhere. Software upgrades, client upgrades, first class on flights. We love those. With Bluevine, you can upgrade the way you manage your money too. A Bluevine business checking account gives you more for your money, like no monthly fees, 2% APY, free standard ACH, and up to $3 million in FDIC coverage. So apply online, open your Bluevine business checking account in minutes, and leave the branch behind. Go to bluevine.com/radio. That's bluevine.com/radio. Business banking beyond expectations.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible, so Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
No other vehicle sets Texas proud more than a Ford from Covert Ford of Austin. Deeply rooted in Texas history, the Covert family has taken great pride for over 114 years That's why you can always depend on Cover Ford to deliver the best customer experience and a superior selection of new Ford vehicles. Shop online at coverford.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else, and we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say keyword great results. That's pound 250 and say great results.
It may be getting chilly outside, but it's always 72 degrees inside Interspace Caverns. It's a great place to take the kids while they're on school break or friends and family while they're visiting. Why not check out this super exciting saber-tooth zip ride or pan for gemstones? Interspace Caverns is located right off I-35 in Georgetown at exit 259. And they also feature newly remodeled gift shop and bathrooms. Check them out online, innerspacecavern.com for more details. That's innerspacecavern.com.
AM 1300 The Zone is KBET Austin. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports talk, podcasts, and music. Free never sounded so good.
Russell Wilson here with Play 60, United Way in the NFL, are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids!
To get involved, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Donate!
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course!
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone presents the Harsh Knocks Life Show. Join Mike Harsh weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. only on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
We get ready to wrap this one up and then head over to Moody Center for the game between Texas and Kansas State tonight. So the texter said, what is the song that closes the show every day? You're not talking about this one because this is the one we just bumped back from the final break on. This, of course, is the great George Benson with Breezin', because we're just getting ready to breeze our way right on out of here and head over to Moody. But no, the in crowd from Ramsey Lewis Trio would be our closing tune. There was a gentleman, and he is truly a fine gentleman, who used to do a program on this radio station for more than 20 years. Good friend of ours, Jim Applebaum, did the golf show for years, and his show opened with the in crowd, Ramsey Lewis. And Jimmy moved back up to Pennsylvania. I think he was taking care of his mother. He'd written multiple books on golf etiquette and rules. I don't think I've ever met a more learned man when it comes to the game of golf than Jim Applebaum. What a great guy. Great guy. And also a great baseball historian as well. He grew up in Philadelphia, great baseball historian, but nobody I've met surpasses Jim Applebaum in terms of his knowledge of the game of golf and golf etiquette and the rules of the game and things like that.
Was there anything in his books about making sure your scorecard is correct?
That helped. Certainly would have helped Jordan Spieth over the weekend, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know, the most celebrated of those things happened in the Masters. Roberto Di Vincenzo was going to win in 1968 and wound up being Bob Colby by one shot. He wasn't DQ'd. It was a one-shot, the one-stroke penalty, I think.
I think DQ is a little extreme there.
Yeah.
You give him a one-stroke, a two-stroke penalty. Now, the story is that, a lot of golfers, including Tiger Woods, some way or another, they got sick, and Jordan was dealing with something, and he was trying to get to the clubhouse bathroom because he kind of had the,
the BGZs, the bubble guts.
Had to go, and just because Tom Kim, his playing partner, I guess, kept his scorecard, and he had him down for a birdie on the fourth hole when Spieth made par, and he just signed off in the car, didn't look at it, and ran to the bathroom, and by then, rules are rules. And Jordan, unfortunately, he broke it. He had a really good tweet yesterday. I don't know if you saw that. He congratulated Hideki Matsuyama and said, just make sure you double check your scorecard.
That's good. That's a good healthy way to look at it. I would say that's a good way to look at it. when things don't go well. All right, we're done for the program this afternoon, and here's that music we were talking about that the texter asked about. It is the Ramsey Lewis Trio with the In Crowd. You can find it obviously in Apple Music and lots of other places as well. All right, we'll be back with you tomorrow. I'll be out at the ballpark, so we'll look forward to bringing you the show from UFC Udish Falkfield prior to Texas and Houston Christian. So we'll look forward to that coming up tomorrow. Thanks to Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, for joining us. Now for the producer, Cameron Parker, I'm Craig Way. A reminder, 7:30 airtime, 8 o'clock tip tonight from Moody, Texas and Kansas State. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 2 right here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
And here's what you need to know.
At the Daytona 500 right now, Joey Logano has the lead after 87 laps, followed by Justin Haley and Chris Buescher. NFL media reports the New England Patriots are releasing defensive tackle Lawrence Guy and safety Adrian Phillips. In the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets fired head coach Jock Vaughn today. The Nets 21-33 at 11th place in the East. ESPN reports assistant Kevin Ollie has been named interim head coach. In Major League Baseball, Washington Nationals owner Mark Lerner told the Washington Post that the Lerner family is no longer exploring a sale of the franchise. In college sports, Arizona's hired Missouri Athletics Director Desiree Reed-Francois as its new athletics director. The Pac-12 Conference has appointed Teresa Gould as its new commissioner effective March 1st. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen. It's Covino and Rich.
This is Seth Rogen on Covino and Rich. I've never heard of them before, but they seem very confident, and I feel as though they